This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by BusinessDay television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insights into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Musa.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that BusinessDay television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by BusinessDay television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insights into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Musa.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that BusinessDay television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
Good morning. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning this morning, and you're tuned into the Business Morning Live Show right here on BusinessDay television. As usual, we've got a packed morning ahead. We're going to be starting off with the morning news. We then move to the newspaper review. We bring you the conversation on the show and wrap up with the social listening. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring you the morning news. So stay with us. And you're welcome to the BusinessDay Business Live News. I am Deborah Eze. Let's see what's making the headlines. Dangote Refinery cuts petrol price to 1,165 naira per litre. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we're bringing you news. So stay with us.
Pleasure of welcoming great supporters and friends from INMA. He's the president, and then of course L. Wilkinson, and then Dorin is heading the work in Africa.
Honored that you're hosting us today. We look forward to a positive exchange of ideas and strategies to make our industry better. With me is Al Wilkinson. He's President and Executive Director of International News Media Association. All right, guys. And we're happy to have him here. I'll let him tell you guys more about him and why he's here.
I would leave you with the idea about Business Day. No platform can take it. No AI can replicate it. No competitor can buy it. So here's a little advice: defend it, build it, invest in it, because folks, the decade ahead is going to belong to news organizations that are unmistakably themselves. They're not boring, they're not neutral. Who are you? Answer that question and you'll figure out the next one. Thanks a lot.
Attention business leaders. Want to make informed decisions? Join the ranks of the best with Premium Business Day. Access in-depth analysis and expert opinions to stay ahead. Subscribe now at premium.businessday.ng and unlock premium content. Plus, you get 50% off your first subscription. Don't miss out. Make smarter choices and seize new opportunities. Sign up now and elevate your business game. Visit premium.businessday.ng today.
And you're welcome to the Business Day Business Life News. I am Deborah Eze. Let's see what's making headlines. Gerigos bond default triggers intense market scrutiny. And NERC moves against Kaduna Disco over 453 billion naira debt. Macro gains fail to ease household pressures. In 2,800 Nigerian wards still outside digital birth registration network. Let's begin the news. Gerigos Power PLC has defaulted on its 40.09 billion naira Series 1 senior unsecured bond, missing both its 8th semi-annual coupon payment and the scheduled 4th principal bullet repayment. The default was flagged in an updated listing status published by FMDQ Securities Exchange, making it Nigeria's first corporate bond default in 7 years. The development has raised fresh concerns about the financial position of the power generation company and the broader challenges facing the sector, particularly around cash flow, financing, and debt servicing. The default is also putting Gerigos' financials and credit ratings under closer market scrutiny, while raising questions about investor confidence in Nigeria's corporate debt market. And moving on, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, has dissolved the board of Kaduna Electricity Distribution Company over accumulated debt of about 456 billion naira. The regulatory action comes amid growing concerns over the company's financial position and its ability to meet obligations within Nigeria's electricity market. NERC's intervention is expected to increase scrutiny of Kaduna Disco's operations, financial management, and outstanding obligations across the power value chain. The development also highlights the wider liquidity challenges in Nigeria's electricity sector, where distribution companies continue to face significant financial and operational pressures. And in other news, Nigeria's improving economic indicators are yet to translate into significant relief for households, with many Nigerians still struggling with high living costs and weak purchasing power. While inflation has moderated, the naira has recorded greater stability and economic growth has remained resilient. The cost of essential goods and services continue to weigh heavily on household budgets. The gap between improving macroeconomic conditions and household welfare is raising concerns over the inclusiveness of Nigeria's economic recovery, particularly as income and job opportunities remain under pressure. Economists say stronger job creation, increased productivity, and policies that boost household incomes will be critical to ensuring that benefits of economic reforms extend beyond headline economic indicators. And so when the news, about 2,800 wards across Nigeria remain outside the country's digital birth registration network, highlighting persistent gaps in access to legal identity. The development raises concerns about the number of Nigerians, particularly children in undeserved communities who may lack official birth record, needed to access essential services. The identity gap could also complicate effort to improve planning, social protection, and the delivery of government services, as accurate population data remains critical for effective policy making. Stakeholders say expanding digital birth registration to undeserved community will be crucial to strengthening Nigeria's identity system and ensuring more citizens are formally captured. And that does it this morning on the news. Up next is the newspaper review. To stay with us.
I am, of course, a great admirer of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of BusinessDay. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with BusinessDay.
BusinessDay is West Africa's leading provider of business intelligence and information, delivering premium content across diversified media platforms, including online, mobile, and print. Since its inception in 2001 with a weekly newspaper production, BusinessDay has expanded its reach to provide exclusive content accessible through print, mobile, and online channels. At BusinessDay, our mission is clear: to be the foremost provider of business and financial content, empowering readers to make informed decisions in Nigeria and Africa. Since our establishment, we have been committed to delivering insightful, relevant, and accurate information about Nigeria's business and finance environment, while contextualizing the impact of global events. We monitor the stock market, analyze the companies driving it, and report on government policies and their economic implications. From decoding market trends to dissecting economic shifts, we offer actionable investment ideas and serve as a compass for decision-makers navigating complexity. Beyond headlines, BusinessDay fosters discussions on critical economic issues through impactful conferences and events. These platforms bring industry leaders together to share narratives that drive innovation and spark meaningful dialogues. Our events galvanize connections, bridging the gap between inspiration and achievement. For businesses seeking visibility, our strong digital presence offers unparalleled opportunities, with millions of followers across social media and a dynamic website attracting visitors from within and outside Nigeria. BusinessDay is the ideal platform to boost visibility for your products and services. If you're looking for in-depth analysis and expert opinions on Nigeria and Africa's business landscape, BusinessDay is your guide.
For 25 years, BusinessDay has delivered credible journalism, intelligent analysis, and decision-shaping insights to Nigeria and Africa's business community. Introducing Africa's first AI-integrated website, enhanced with powerful new capabilities. At the heart of the new platform is the AI-enabled chatbot, built to help you navigate stories faster, ask questions, get summaries, and access deeper context instantly. Text-to-speech functionality, allowing you to listen to articles on the go.
The Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Lagos, has recorded an 11.8% growth in air traffic.
Whether you're commuting, driving, or multitasking, BusinessDay now moves with you. And with our new language translation feature, our journalism becomes even more accessible. You can select your preferred language, thereby expanding reach across diverse audiences in Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. This innovation reinforces our commitment to being not just a news platform, but also a smart, accessible, and future-ready business intelligence hub. As we celebrate 25 years of impact, we step confidently into the future, powered by technology, driven by credibility, and focused on you. Shaping insights to Nigeria and Africa's business community. In shaping insights to Nigeria and Africa's business community. Introducing Africa's first AI-integrated website, enhanced with powerful new capabilities. At the heart of the new platform is the AI-enabled chatbot, built to help you navigate stories faster, ask questions, get summaries, and access deeper context instantly. Text-to-speech functionality, allowing you to listen to articles on the go.
The Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Lagos, has recorded an 11.8% growth in air traffic.
Whether you're commuting, driving, or multitasking, BusinessDay now moves with you. And with our new language translation feature, our journalism becomes even more accessible. You can select your preferred language, thereby expanding reach across diverse audiences in Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. This innovation reinforces our commitment to being not just a news platform, but also a smart, accessible, and future-ready business intelligence hub. As we celebrate 25 years of impact, we step confidently into the future, powered by technology, driven by credibility, and focused on you. Visit the new BusinessDay website today and experience the future of news.
It's good to have you, Mr. Yomi Onubero.
Thank you so very much.
And let me congratulate you again on your appointment as the CEO, Deloitte West Africa.
Thank you.
Now let's talk about our appointment now. What's the expectations when it comes to the appointment to your clients, business alike, and also the stakeholders, regulators? What exactly is the expectation from your appointment?
Well, thank you so very much. So at Deloitte, we say we are AI-powered and human-led. And what that means is that as an organization, we want to support our clients, our people, and the country at large in leveraging the capabilities that we have within our organizations. Deloitte is the leading global professional services provider by far. It's a $74 billion business with 500,000 people, spread all around the world. And so we've got capabilities across different specialties, right? From tech to AI, to data, to cyber, to just different spectrum of financial advisory capability that clients do need. So my role and what it means to the client is being able to leverage all of those capabilities, bringing expertise within the local market, within the broader Deloitte Africa, which Deloitte Nigeria and West Africa is a member of, and more importantly from within the global network of the firm, to supporting all that our clients really need to achieve. So we're here as enabler, we're here as strategic partners to help our clients achieve their strategic ambitions.
Right, very brilliant. I must say, amazing session you had during the panel session, and you really had lots of insightful, comment to make about that panel session. But what advice, in few words, do you have for CEOs that are actually trying to navigate this economic bandwidth right now? What advice do you have for them?
Yeah, I think if I can sum it in one, I think many businesses will make do and will benefit significantly from having strategic advisors to help them navigate all of the bottlenecks that we have. There's just so much that organizations need to deal with, from the barriers to the constraint to the regulation, while still ensuring they focus on their business. And so what successful organizations have done is to ensure that they focus on their core operations, core business, core capabilities, but ensuring that they leverage the skill and the expertise of advisors who've got the strength and the breadth and the specialty to handhold them and help them navigate all of the constraints and all of the challenges. So if I can sum it in one, that would be it, because operating in an environment like Nigeria can be quite challenging. Opportunities are massive. However, navigating and getting through to the end of the game can be very tough. Capital is available, but how accessible, how affordable? skills are sometimes a challenge. What do you need to do to get them trained, to get them equipped? There are a lot of regulatory risks that you need to deal with. So becoming experts in many of those domains can be very challenging for businesses. So when businesses do that, they have very less time to focus on their own core operations, which is their own primary domain. So my advice, reserve all of your strength and all of your energy to focus on your own primary domain, but make sure that you get strategic advisors and partners to help you through, working in this environment like Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yomi, for stopping by, and congratulations again on your appointment.
Thank you so very much, and I'm really pleased to be here. Fantastic conversation. We didn't have time to go through all of the sessions, but very stimulating. I love what Business Day is doing, and we're very proud that you stayed the course for a quarter of a century, and running this show for the 14th consecutive time is something really commendable. So my appreciation to the publisher, Frank, and to all of you who are supporting the process.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right.
This is still the Business Day CEO from the 14th annual edition, and I've got a very lovely woman by my side this afternoon. Can you introduce yourself to us?
Absolutely. I'm Aderemi Saka. I'm the MD CEO of NASCON Allied Industries PLC, also known as Dangote Salt.
Fantastic. I'm going to start by asking you a simple question, really. NASCON Allied Industries relies almost entirely on imports, for its core raw materials, bringing in roughly $22 million to $24 million worth of goods annually. Now, tell me, how has this crisis in the Middle East, which has virtually halted, shipping fundamentally, has it shifted your organization's long-term approach to maritime risk management?
For us, it hasn't really impacted in terms of our imports, but the cost of importation has gone up. Our freight charges used to run between $21 and $25, and now we're seeing freight anywhere from $31 to $40. So that definitely has a significant impact on our cost. But what we are doing as a business is to also look at ways in which we can trim down on other costs. And so we've really looked at cost-saving initiatives across the board to be able to cushion that weight, because you definitely don't want to pass that on to your consumers.
Right. So we see manufacturers they are increasingly turning to backward integration to reduce their dependence on imported raw materials. So how has this strategy helped your company?
In terms of backward integration of salt, that is very difficult because based on research, salt you're not able to cultivate and to manufacture salt at the large scale within the country. But we're looking at all our other resources to see how we can really rely on local manufacturers. That is across the board in terms of our packaging material, in terms of other additives that we have to not just our salt, but also our seasoning. We're definitely relying more on local manufacturers to support those endeavors.
Now, you talked about something right there on the stage. You mentioned that energy costs amounts to up to 40% of your total input costs. So tell us more about that. Just break it down for us.
So that is an average across the nation, across manufacturing companies. You're seeing 30 to 40% of your costs are from energy costs. So what we have done as a business is, one, we try to ensure that all of our plants, they're running in the most efficient manner. We have a mix of both AGO generators and gas power generators, and so that is able to mitigate some of that cost. And then again, but the major thing I would say is efficiency, ensuring that you're producing in an efficient manner, and you're optimizing your capacity, so that way your variable costs are significantly less per product.
Fantastic. I think we'll just leave it there today because we know you have to run and we have to wrap up. But thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome back. This is the newspaper review segment where we explore the major stories making the headlines across the nation's newspaper. I am Deborah Eze, and of course I'm not doing this alone. Joining me to analyze the headlines this morning is...
Good morning. My name is Mohammed Abiodun Akonji.
Hello.
Good morning, Deborah.
Why did you have to call your full government name?
Sorry. I know you definitely be able to take a step at me. How are you today?
I'm very well.
Seeing you again. I don't know what I've seen about it. How was the weekend?
My weekend was good.
I didn't see you yesterday. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was actually just running to you during the office hours.
Yeah. And you did what you know how to do best whenever you see me. And that is to tease me.
Okay,
let's quickly take a look at what the front pages of the Business Day, The Guardian, Punch, Vanguard are reporting this morning before we round up with the cartoon of the day. Kicking off with the Business Day newspaper, the story on the front page this morning reads, Nigeria's solar boom runs on import. It can't afford to cut. Nigeria's solar boom runs on imports. It can't afford to cut. I think that one is the headline is really straightforward and clear. At the top of the Business Day newspaper, we have Gerigu's bond puts all the detailed results on the market microscope, and you can get that story on page 30 of the Business Day newspaper. And also, NERC dissolves Kaduna Disco's board over 456 billion naira debt, and that is on page 31 of the Business Day newspaper. And also, Otedola's first holdco buying spree makes him Africa's fastest growing billionaire, and that is on page 30 of the Business Day newspaper. And also we have an infograph of the first holdco, the rally that makes South Africa's top wealth gainer, and we can see himself and other wealth gainers. Let me put it in Africa. We have the likes of Mike Adenuga, Aliko Dangote, Abdul Rabiu, and Drew Rupert and family. And Nasuf, yes. So let's quickly look at the big story on the Business Day, and that is Nigeria's solar boom runs on import. It can't afford to cut.
So cut. Thank you again for having me. It's with the power challenge that we are presently having in the nation. We've all seen, this boom in solar installation, especially the solar component. I don't know on the mainland, but I know. In fact, I would say I know on the mainland I know on the highland, most of the buildings that you see now have solar. In fact, some of the roofs are actually turned solar, maybe because of power anyway. So I heard that there is constant power in the mainland. So maybe I don't know if you actually be able to see that kind of surge.
Do you want us to argue on this solar thing?
Okay.
I remember.
Okay.
When I was 12.
12.
Yes, everyone in my estate had solar panel on their roof.
At the age of 12?
Yes, 12 in my estate. And I was wowed when, from 2023, people now started, and I'm like, what's going on here?
Of course, I mean,
I don't bring the mainland and the island thing.
Because really, most of the time, what I'm saying there is, and I'm not saying that, in terms of consumption on mainland, but I heard something about, that power is a bit stable. So maybe because power is stable, there is element of people not having any recourse to be able to go to solar. Maybe that's what I'm saying. Because I was just telling a friend of mine here, a colleague of mine at work yesterday, that since November last year, I think I just used NEPA lights to pump water for the
Because you guys don't have lights.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not going to tell you. I said it is this weekend. The light has not been stable in the last 1 month. Thank God. Because I know how bad it has been, you know, on our corridor, you know, the Lekki corridor. So for the first time, maybe November or December, that I have used NEPA source to pump water from A to Z. What I mean by that, we start from to finish. Because most of the time, I don't know, because it's not really stable. Before you know it, it's gone off. Now, we've experienced some relative stability, as I said, anyway, because of those factors. But what I'm saying is, we've seen solar as an alternative, and a lot of us have actually been able to jump on that. In fact, yesterday, I was talking to my solar plug, because I have that. I remember I first used solar personally in 2021. I bought the first one then. And I was just considering, okay, I wanted to change. And it was giving me some cost yesterday, Deborah. You'll be marveled. I think we're talking about, for example, a 3.2 kVA. The cheapest I could get for solar hybrid inverter, for example, we're saying is like about 280,000. That's not a problem. Now did I get the battery of 2 kVA? Was it 600, 800,000?
The battery is the issue.
It is amazing. The battery I'm using at home, so sorry, maybe for context, let me tell you. When I first bought all the solar panels that I bought, the first one that I bought in 2021, everything was 130,000.
Yes.
130,000.
Yes.
Let's tell you, not everything.
You're right.
Battery, dry cell, it came with 150 watts that time. Then that's a dry cell battery, and then that's this inverter. I'm not saying only one inverter alone, 280,000, or battery. I just try to be able to change the panel. I'm not talking about that. I don't think what our energy editor, you know, was actually putting out there is the fact that these solar panels, the PV themselves that we put on our roof, is something that is heavily imported in this nation.
Right.
And because I think I've seen a kind of a surge, a kind of a drive towards we have Nigerian-made inverters. I think I've seen that because when I'm even talking about here, we've seen that ITEL is now coupling in Nigeria now. We are doing some for inverters, but it appears that we have not really been able to move, you know, at that speed when it comes to the panel itself, you know, that we put on our roofs, and that's exactly what is actually causing. That's what Nigeria's government also or policymakers need to be able to look at. I don't want private sector. I don't think government needs to be able to do this. Is another investment opportunity, is another business opportunity, because now it appears that there is a very important movement. You know, there is this, you know, total transition. There is partly a very considerable transition from grid, national grid, government generated power. So we're saying that, because to me, I don't know, personally, I felt that as well. I try to compare my NEPA bill, for example. I told you to, because I have prepaid, I've got letters not been stable. I have not recharged my prepaid since January. I can tell you. So if I don't consider that, I have not really bought, maybe fine, I buy petrol now because I want to pump water, just like I told you. Other things, my installations, and I even tell them if I do this now. So I feel like if that was the costs, initial cost may be expensive, but in the long run, it's actually better than, you know, running on other alternative sources like power generators and the likes. But at the same time, government generated power that is a bit more, but it's a bit cheaper, may not be able to totally fix that. So I think it's another thing everybody should consider. The initial cost may be expensive, as I said, Deborah, but I feel like in the long run, the average cost will likely be able to spill over. I mean, spread over the entire period, and people will be able to maximize the benefits.
So, are we looking at the private sector now to actually go into manufacturing?
I think that's what I think personally. I don't know the suggestion. I'm sure our listeners at home, our audience, when they read the story. But I feel like the private sectors that have done remarkably well in the inverter segment, I can tell you now, they don't really import those any longer, because I just yesterday night I was just talking to my guy, my plug that used to be able to get me, and he was giving me 10 of names I've never heard of in hybrid inverters with different prices, you know, like common ones that, you know, so I'm mentioning some names, I don't be able to mention them here, and they're telling me he knows some of them are Chinese companies that have set their base here to assemble. Most of the Chinese and I think Indonesians, according to him, and he partnered with some of them. And he was mentioning CDs, and they're amazing in those particular contexts. I can be able to get them. So I think we've had a considerable investment in the solar hybrid inverter. the inverter itself,
Yeah.
and maybe in the batteries as
Just
well.
the panel.
In the panel, I
Yeah.
think that's exactly maybe. So private sector too could also be that's something that we need to actually be able to fully look into.
Right. Let's Geregu has been in the news since it was on at the top headline yesterday. It was a basis of conversation during the business week also. As regards the debt.
The debts.
And the main question is for, an electricity
Business or provider.
Provider that actually generates so much money. How is it possible that they are actually like into, so much debt, and what is the reason behind the debt?
In a simple word, I think it's energy theft.
Right.
But don't forget that Geregu is one of our generating companies, one of the gencos. And in fact, federal government itself holds them. There's a legacy debt, only about 6 trillion apart. And what government is owing is just a job compared to what me and you, sorry for actually being able to put that, we are using it, who have actually failed to be able to pay the discos to allow them to remit to the gencos. So because I was saying that, maybe I'll mention our island here, maybe because I grew up here, I can tell you houses that maybe I don't know now, but I'm talking about 5-10 years ago, they are not paying electricity and they are using it. Bypassing of meters, bypassing of just, of course, Nigerians, energy theft as we call them. People just bypass meters. People call it wire tapping directly. Just tap directly from the pole, and then somebody will just be in one rudimentary area like that. They will not pay. So I'm sure that there is ATNs as we call them, exactly. Technical and commercial losses that some of these companies actually be able to suffer. So there are commercial losses in terms of not providing. There are technical losses when people themselves, operational expenses, operational costs that people are supposed to be able to pay are not paying. If you look at the ATC and C, as they call them, is it plans within the power sector, which actually be able to talk about the inability for them to be able to recoup, the money when people actually be able to use the service, go a very long way in. So we have the government itself in terms of paying the part of the subsidy that was there until 2024. Then we have households and individuals who are using these services, not paying for them as well, contributing, paying, because the case of energy theft, maybe it's going down a little bit, and I was marveled at the time, because so sorry that I mentioned mainland again, because when I went there, what I've seen on the island is the fact that on the island, you put your meters in your house. Yeah. It was on the mainland that I first saw it, that they said they are putting meters on the pool outside. I don't know. I actually seen that on Yadokpaja, for example, and it was like, what is it? I've never seen that. I'm so sorry. I was only about 3 years ago when I first saw it, that what I doing on the island, maybe what I got, is that you have your meters, in your house.
Do you know that there are some places in Jakonde, your island, that they put their meters?
That's what I'm saying. You know the reason for that? I said that's the first time I saw. I said, okay. Because people are not paying. Yeah. So people are bypassing it. That's it. I'm just saying the reason why they put those things there.
But I'm surprised.
You're not bypassing. So you now know it's very difficult. It's a public place. Yeah. Let them put the meter there. Let us see how you want to go and bypass into your house. Yeah. So I've seen it on the island as well. But the first time I saw it was mid 2023, and I was just saying that I just saw some poles on me. I saw it in Korean as well, so I think that's I went to Inapaja and Korean, and I saw them. I just saw meters, inundated the whole pole. I was like, is it the way they do things in this place? I was wondering. It was like, but the NEPAs have just decided another strategy to ensure they can be able to collect the money, because people are not paying. So they want to see, let them put it there. Let them not be seeing you in public places.
They actually go for inspections. That's why I'm actually surprised that we are still having issues of energy bypassing and theft. I'm really surprised, because I have them come to my house, not by my will, not because I want them in my house, but they have a compulsory inspection every month. They come every month or 2 months to see if you're bypassing, see if your meter is actually really reading. Because you might not be bypassing, but you have a meter that is not reading. Yes, and you have electricity.
You understand?
I think that's actually the problem. Not like, because everyone, in my opinion, I do have access to prepaid meter. I don't
not
think
everyone, not
everyone, but a good number of people do have access.
Now I think metering level is still low. We are not even up to 50% yet, as we are talking about here across the federation. As much as government has tried to be able to roll out meters and the likes, we have not been able to hit 50% of people that have access. So there's still problem of estimated billings, as we call them, estimated billings. But even those ones too, as I said, bypass. right? Bypassing energy theft, because one of the things that have contributed to these mountain debt is, of course, non-payment, but they have rendered the services. They provided the services. The companies are supposed to be able to pay them. Because if you look at the trajectory of the power sector, at the time when the unbundling happened in 2013, what did the federal government try to do there? They set up a company called MBET, Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading, which is supposed to be able to absorb. It's like AMCON in the banking sector. They have to absorb the losses. But what happened? Eventually, I think during the time of Mr. Fashola, that was cancelled, because of mountain debt. But those legacy debts, 6 trillion naira. In fact, this administration is even just trying to be able to clear off some of them that have actually been mounting, as we call them, legacy debt, because they are debts that have actually been able to traverse different administration. So I know we have that. All these actually be able to, account for the AT&C that power sectors or power providers tend to be able to suffer from. So it's unfortunate that we're actually having that, and Geregu is actually in the height of the storm because of the mountain debt, the mountain level of debt that they're actually suffering from.
All right, let's quickly move now to the Guardian newspaper. The big story on the Guardian newspaper this morning reads: Opposition kicks as state hike permits tighten campaign rules. And that is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. And at the top of the Guardian newspaper, we have 2027. Atiku, Obi, Makinde, others may forge alliance against Tinubu. That is on page 3.
Shrek. Okay.
No, I have to enunciate my words now. And of course,
you read the first one, you didn't. You read that one. And then you Shrek when you read that one. It's fine.
We have 90 civil society groups urge National Assembly to withdraw foreign aid bill, and that is on page 3. NERC takes over Kaduna Disco over 456.5 billion debt, and that is also on page 3. And the left corner of the Guardian newspaper, we have Oshun. Report reveals 29 deaths from Sector 3 incident ahead of polls. Politics is really a game. And we have page 8, and we have EU clarifies 2027 election rule as misreport. Reactions expose concern, and that is on page 6. And below the Guardian newspaper, we have Imo Nasarawa varsity lecturers embark on indefinite strike over unpaid entitlement, and that is on page 8. And also recapitalization, federal government wades into dispute, suspends NICOM's 680 million naira fee, and that is on page 22. Let's talk about the 2027 article Obi and Makinde others for alliance against
Okay, so that's not me now. Thank you. That's not me. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Okay, I feel like the only way they can really be able to take the battle to the APC is actually through this alliance.
Right.
Personally, I know there are some people who would disagree with me, and that's understandable. But I feel like if they all be able to proceed in this battle, okay, sorry for using maybe the word battle, but I mean battle, because it's a supposed battle. 16th of January 2027, if they go on their individual front, on their individual cadence, I personally don't think that they can actually be able to take away the power from the sitting president. But as a united front, because the same APC, don't forget, that was what they voted on in 2013. 2015 election, they voted on the fact that they are able to harmonize factions, I mean, different units together. Parties came together, there was a coalition, and the coalition became so strong that they were able to, knock off the PDP, or they were able to, their weight was actually too heavy for PDP, right? They were able to knock them off the perch. So I think and I believe that such thing, even though just on the eve of the election, on the eve of campaign, we're starting campaign next week, don't forget, Deborah. Yeah. So I don't think these will see the light of the day. It is still just within the realm of speculations that, okay, maybe these parties may come together, especially the heavyweight, as we call them. Heineck has told us 19 parties will contest the election, including the APC itself. Yeah. But we know that they are the heavyweights, they are the gladiators, the major political gladiators. I mean, we'll talk about the former Vice President, Mr. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, Mr. Peter Obi of NDC, and Makinde himself, And then we also have some running mates that could be able to wield some powers. Running mate like Mr. Owetemi Amechi for the ADC, in particular, Alaji Musa Rabiu Kwakwanso for NDC, and then in fact I've not heard of that of the APM yet. So we know some of them have a very important heavyweights that they can actually be able to work with, right? They can really help them. So I think that is understandable, but I think that's the only ground. I feel like if they wanted to actually be able to stand a chance to take the fight to the APC, is such an alliance. I think it is important, but because if we should go on the same front the way we went in 2023. This would be 2023 2.0.
Right. Let's talk about the state hike as opposition.
Yes, okay. I think we started hearing some complaints because of billboards that were coming up now.
Yeah.
There were reports now that states are charging exorbitant fees to opposition as a way of discouraging them, dissuading them from, putting their posters, putting their billboards. In fact, there are some figures that you are quoting here. I want to confirm that I want to be able to stay there online to be sure that is it really that exorbitant? Because I just want to place my billboard. So if there are a report about Lagos State or what Lagos State government is actually trying to do to say this is how much you pay. Of course, some of these billboards you say around actually comes at a cost. Yeah. But when it comes to political season, presidential campaign, just like we said, we start on the 19th. The governorship campaign will start on the 6th of September. And they are report now that the document has actually come out that if you wanted to be able to place your posters, Tomiland Bridge, for example, strategic location, Falomo Bridge, another good example. This bridge in Lekki, that was the particular bridge in Lekki. I think we heard about the cost of that as well. They will talk about Aja, Jubilee Bridge in Aja. There is one in Agege. That they say if you want to be able to place your posters in those places, you need to be able to get the permission from the Lasbaka, the government. For example, Lagos, I'm talking about Lagos, and then how much you are likely going to be able to pay. And opposition are kicking as a result of that. That is it the same thing that we're able to apply to sitting governors? Will they pay the same amount as them? Those are the questions. Or they're just trying to be able to, put that amount to dissuade them. So I think it's a very important thing that it's good opposition, as a kicking now. But remember, it's a battle, it's a war. It's an election. Everybody wanted to be. No, I'm talking about they want to do the sitting leaders want to do everything to ensure that they block off opposition.
It's a game at the end of the day. Whatever strategy can work for you, please by all means.
But of course, legal means anyway.
Yeah, of course, it's legal. If as a state I'm saying, okay, you have to pay a certain amount of money before you put
your posters, you get your board.
All is fair.
I'm paying the same thing.
All is fair.
All right. The same thing.
Let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. What do we have on the Punch newspaper? Of course, the Osun election that is coming up on the 15th, which is on Saturday. And it reads, sensitive materials arrive Oshogbo, 30,000 core members mobilized. And the rider to the story, we have soldiers guard Osun INEC office as 25,310 security personnel deployed for poll. And on the rider, Adeleke's wife leads protest against alleged arrests and violence. And CSO's others raises fears over INEC's new result system. And you can get the story on page 2 and 8 of the Punch newspaper. At the top of the Punch newspaper, we have 7 states FCT borrow 355 billion naira in 3 months, and that is on page 19. At the bottom of the Punch newspaper, we have 2027 opposition parties begin talks on single candidate, and that is on page 9. And also, Oyo pastor arrested for allegedly defrauding 18 members. And that's page 5.
What's that? Not sure. How many members? 18.
18. And we have Dangote NUPRC differ over Q2 crude supply. That is on page 20. And the right corner of the Punch, we have recapitalization. Federal government orders NICOM to stop disputed fees. And that is on page 20. So visa processing shift won't affect Abuja embassy operations. And that is from the US, and that is page 7. And we have a picture of Atiku Beshola, who Osun voters, says ADC will restore Awolowo's legacy. I think the Osun election.
It's coming around thick and fast.
Coming up and fast.
Saturday. Thick and fast, actually. And there have been reports, violence here and there, which we never prayed for, we never wanted, we never want that to happen. And so the politicians as well needed to make, the political terrain, the political ecosystem, tension-free, less assault-free. In fact, I think there was one of the reports I read this morning that about 29 people have actually died, in the build-up to this particular election. Come on, I don't think the blood of any Nigerian or the sweat of any Nigerian, does not be able to water any ambition of any of these politicians. So we've seen cases, we've seen factions coming out, for each other's jugular, right? Try to actually be able to, in an attempt to be able to woo and cut Osun voters. And I think we've seen that considerably. And the report there is that INEC has started deploying materials, which they expected them to do. Materials are expected to actually be able to arrive at the Oshogbo INEC Secretariat by on Wednesday, before campaign will stop on Thursday. And then Friday, people are allowed to actually be able to go to the respective polling unit, places, local government, where they will likely be able to cast their vote. So we wish the Osun State indigents and citizens the very best of luck.
I really hope
we've
it's
seen 3 major
violence-free.
candidates and violence-free. I think that is the key word there. There are 3 major political gladiators of the 15 INEC list. The APC, of course, has their own. We see Accord, and now ADC came out yesterday with Najim Salam, who was a former speaker in the Osun State Assembly. In fact, I was listening to him yesterday night, and it was a bit upbeat, of his own chances in the election. Personally, I don't buy it actually, but politicians can actually be able to sell water to fish, as they would say. They can say anything. It was quite upbeat that he has the chances, but ADC has never really come to the picture until now, but anything can happen anyway. It's the Osun State voters that will be able to decide the fate of the election, and they will decide the direction which that particular election will go. So I think it is there. The other story that I think I just wanted to
weigh in,
to weigh on here, thank you very much, is states. Single card, I think we spoke about that, and your states defrauding people, because I know.
I wanted to say, let's talk about that for laughs, but nothing is actually funny about having to defraud people.
When people are so reliant on leaders.
That's the word. I think it's
gullible that you allow.
I think it's actually a normal thing in the religious space, especially the Christianity, the Christendom, and put it that way, where you actually have pastors defraud their members. And
so is it because of gullibility?
It's not gullibility. People don't realize when their religion is actually turned into a cult. That is actually, one of the reasons. Because if you say, I don't think being religious is a bad thing, but when it goes beyond that, and I like to call it cult, anything that goes way beyond religion is a cult.
You are controlling people's lives. Exactly. You're trying to be able to hold them and tell them to.
I don't see why any pastor would tell me, Debbie, shebla. If you want to marry, bring 50 million.
Do I have it?
If I have 50 million, I will create a man. You get what I mean? Or a pastor will say, I saw one on TikTok, and she was like, I want 10 persons here to give me 20,000 each. Do you know how much that is? And you see people running out. Mama has spoken. So for me, there's a difference between being a Christian and being in a cult. So most of this, I'm speaking for my own religion.
I get that.
So most of these people that actually claim they are Christians and they have pastors and fathers, they are in a cult. Because a normal thinking Christian would not just hand over their hard-earned money
to another person
instead of getting defrauded. Come on, if we are getting defrauded by people with different Ponzi scheme, and then the pastor too is defrauding you. That's why I said it's for laughs, because in 2026, I wonder why people are not.
I felt like maybe just like you speak from that perspective. Thank you.
Yeah.
I know from my perspective and from the religion I practice, I know that the question is about ask questions.
Right.
It's not a matter of my Afa, or for example, my priest, my reverend, my political lead, my religious leader has said so and so, and I must do so and so. You must always be able to ask for evidence, for example. So there is a need for you to be able to ask questions.
Right.
But what God said is, ask questions if you don't know. Ask them. That thing you told me to do, where is the evidence for it? Why should because, for example, I use business side just very quickly. If, for example, I wake up in the morning, for example, and I jog from here to Lekki, for example, and I think I like that. It's my personal choice. I don't want to jog and I like it. If I should tell my Muslim brethren to say, this I am doing is a religious obligation, that to jog from CMS, they are expected to ask me the question, provide the evidence for this.
Why? Now, let me now bust your head.
You should ask me a question.
You know what's funny about the Holy Book? And I'm talking from both sides. It's very funny that when you ask questions, they will point you to something there. And then in your head, your left does this. You get what I mean? I get that. So it's beyond, this is a very broad topic that if we start talking about, we'll not be able to end it. But let's quickly wrap up with the cartoon of today. What do we have on the cartoon this morning? And we have, as usual, a caricature of things and people that we know.
Now you do
one of the persons that we know with the popular, art. Is that art or a cap?
That's
a cap. Yeah.
The usual.
Yoruba Owambe cap. And we have an eagle representing the EFCC out of its cage, and it says, "I feel so." Now, see the irony. There's a cage. The cage is open. And the bird actually feels, I'm out of the cage, I feel so independent. But look at the leg of the eagle. There's a rope.
Is
it really independent? This is actually because of the issue, the EFCC issue that happened in Osun State. And the president asked that, that's why you're doing. Stop it. Anyways, we've come to the end of the newspaper review. If you want to get a knack of some of the stories on the Business Day newspaper, visit the website, and also you can pick up a copy of the Business Day newspaper. My name is Deborah Eze. Up next are conversations lined up this morning on Business Money Live. Just stay with us.
I am, of course, a great admirer of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of BusinessDay. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with BusinessDay.
BusinessDay is West Africa's leading provider of business intelligence and information, delivering premium content across diversified media platforms, including online, mobile, and print. Since its inception in 2001 with a weekly newspaper production, BusinessDay has expanded its reach to provide exclusive content accessible through print, mobile, and online channels. At BusinessDay, our mission is clear: to be the foremost provider of business and financial content, empowering readers to make informed decisions in Nigeria and Africa. Since our establishment, we have been committed to delivering insightful, relevant, and accurate information about Nigeria's business and finance environment, while contextualizing the impact of global events. We monitor the stock market, analyze the companies driving it, and report on government policies and their economic implications. From decoding market trends to dissecting economic shifts, we offer actionable investment ideas and serve as a compass for decision-makers navigating complexity. Beyond headlines, BusinessDay fosters discussions on critical economic issues through impactful conferences and events. These platforms bring industry leaders together to share narratives that drive innovation and spark meaningful dialogues. Our events galvanize connections, bridging the gap between inspiration and achievement. For businesses seeking visibility, our strong digital presence offers unparalleled opportunities, with millions of followers across social media and a dynamic website attracting visitors from within and outside Nigeria. Business Day is the ideal platform to boost visibility for your products and services. If you're looking for in-depth analysis and expert opinions on Nigeria and Africa's business landscape, Business Day is your guide.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by Business Day Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insight into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine. I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Moses.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that Business Day television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by Business Day Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insight into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine. I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Moses.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that Business Day television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
Attention business leaders. Want to make informed decisions? Join the ranks of the best with Premium Business Day. Access in-depth analysis and expert opinions to stay ahead. Subscribe now at premium.businessday.ng and unlock premium content. Plus, you get 50% off your first subscription. Don't miss out. Make smarter choices and seize new opportunities. Sign up now and elevate your business game. Visit premium.businessday.ng today.
For 25 years, Business Day has delivered credible journalism, intelligent analysis, and decision-shaping insights to Nigeria and Africa's business community. Introducing Africa's first AI-integrated website, enhanced with powerful new capabilities. At the heart of the new platform is the AI-enabled chatbot, built to help you navigate stories faster, ask questions, get summaries, and access deeper context instantly. Text-to-speech functionality, allowing you to listen to articles on the go.
The Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Lagos, has recorded an 11.8% growth in air traffic.
Whether you're commuting, driving, or multitasking, Business Day now moves with you. And with our new language translation feature, our journalism becomes even more accessible. You can select your preferred language, thereby expanding reach across diverse audiences in Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. This innovation reinforces our commitment to being not just a news platform, but also a smart, accessible, and future-ready business intelligence hub, As we celebrate 25 years of impact, we step confidently into the future, powered by technology, driven by credibility, and focused on you. Visit the new Business Day website today and experience the future of news.
Attention business leaders. Want to make informed decisions? Join the ranks of the best with Premium Business Day. Access in-depth analysis and expert opinions to stay ahead. Subscribe now at premium.businessday.ng and unlock premium content. Plus, you get 50% off your first subscription. Don't miss out.
Welcome back to the Business Morning Live Show right here on Business Day Television. Let's now move to our topic of conversation this morning. We're examining Nigeria's Fiscal Balancing Act, revenue, debt, and the cost of government spending. Nigeria's fiscal position remains a delicate balancing act. The government needs to spend more on infrastructure, security, social programs, and economic development. But at the same time, revenue remains relatively weak, while debt servicing continues to consume a significant share of public resources. The challenge is therefore not simply about how much government spends, but how that money is raised, where it is allocated, and whether the spending is valued to justify the cost of borrowing. And joining us to examine this conversation is Oludamilola Onemano. She's the Senior Research and Policy Analyst. Good morning, Damilola. It's good to have you on the Business Morning Live.
Good morning, Deborah. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me.
Yeah, very well. Let's start off with the big picture. Do you think Nigeria is currently facing a revenue problem or a spending problem, or fundamentally a fiscal management problem?
So essentially, I'll say it's 3 in 1, because first off is Nigeria does not raise enough revenue that can meet its needs at the moment. When you look at what we have in terms of revenue generated, not just targeted, Nigeria does not meet up to 10% of its GDP on an annual basis. And when we now look at it in terms of realism, it hardly meets up to 60, at most 70% of its target. So yes, we have a revenue problem because we have so much that needs to be done, but little as much revenue that can go around. And then you have so many other things that are struggling for the allocations of those revenues. So you see a projection of 36 billion naira or trillion naira in revenue, and we're just doing 21 trillion naira. A whole lot of things are going to suffer. So yes, Nigeria needs to rework its revenue mobilization strategies and ensure that it's incurring more revenue than it ought to. And there is so much that needs to be done. I don't think we have the infrastructure yet that gives us that high level of return in investment, that gives us that level of revenue that we seek. I think the second is the spending problem, and the spending problem in the terms of yes, we don't have that large budget. You find out some countries have extremely large budgets, which is good for them and which is good for their economy. And it's also going to be good for Nigeria to be able to spend more. But when you now look at side by side what we generate as revenue, we have a spending problem, especially when we spend on frivolities, when we spend on things that do not necessarily bring back a return on investment, or that do not necessarily bring down some form of welfare or development to citizens or to the country itself. And I think another one I will add is the fiscal management problem, where we see expenditure going as high as 68 trillion, and then revenue as low as 36, and then you're already from the onset creating this wide deficit of over 37 or 40, almost 40% in deficits, right? So you're already planning the level or the extent of which your borrowing should be. And we need to also now add the level of budget credibility, because we notice year after year, we do not generate revenue we target for? So why do we budget as high as that? Year after year, we do not also spend as huge as the target we create as our expenditures. So why do we not budget within that confines as to forecast and say, oh, if we spend 13 trillion this year, maybe we should spend 35 instead of going all the way to 68, creating that huge gap for recurrent. And then another thing is the spending policy. So you find out that because and there's no room for capital infrastructure, capital development, or capital formation that can now improve the lives of citizens or even bring back some return on investment.
Right. So Nigeria has one of the lowest revenue to GDP ratios amongst many major economies. So why has expanding the revenue base remained so difficult despite, successive tax and fiscal reforms?
Okay, so I'll say the new tax reforms or all the reforms most of the time, they're more paper. There are more laws, there are more policies that are just put on paper, but they have not created a working administration that can implement those reforms. So you have the new tax policy or the new tax reform. You have not done anything to build citizens' trust in government. You have not done anything to ensure that more taxpayers are being embedded into the system. You are not improving the system to ensure that people are able to trust it better. More than 90% of Nigeria's employment force or labor force is informal. What have you now done to ensure that, oh, these businesses are now permanent, they are reliable, they are able to scale, they are able to move from just nano or mini business or macro business to basic business that can sustain themselves more than 5, 6, 7 years, and they can now contribute to the tax force. But then when we are having so many multiple taxation, and yes, we come up with the law of want to unify them, what have been the strategies to ensure that they have been put together to be unified? When you have weak coordination, weak data sharing, Nigeria does, up till now, we're still talking about the whole census issue. How do you want to tax a force, or how do you want to tax a people that you do not know them, right? You don't know their number, you don't know who is working, you don't know who is dead, you don't know who is making so much money, right? And yes, they might say, oh, we have all of those data sets, but the coordination is also weak within the system. And you have so many different revenue leakages, in whether it's in spending on frivolities, whether it's in the fact that they cannot account for some revenues, especially when we go to the oil and gas sector. Then we also have oil and gas theft that's still ongoing even up until now after so many years of, yes, we want to define the space, we want to do this, we want to do that.
So we understand that debt is not necessarily bad if it's, finances productive investment, right? Is Nigerian borrowing enough for development, or are we increasingly borrowing to just finance recurrent expenditure?
So I think economically, you're not, or economics wise, when you borrow, your borrowing should finance some level of development, right? Except maybe it's not a really project type borrowing, and then you should be able to now divert it to recurrent. But however, for a federal country like Nigeria, for you not to approach or for you not to reach some level of solvency, you should be able to meet up your recurrence by the revenue that you generate. So whatever monies you borrow comes as a capital development fund that should now meet your capital project. So most times borrowings are supposed to be for capital projects or capital development or capital formation within the country or within the state. However, because there is no transparency in sometimes what the money is used for, how the money is disbursed, how the money is being paid back, we find out that you're not even sure what exactly the money is being used for. And because we've seen time and time again that our revenue or our debt servicing has taken more of the bulk of what we are generating in revenue. You've seen times of 80%, 90% even, right? And then you don't know if the monies that were now left over is able to cover recurrence. So meaning that whatever has been borrowed has now been diverted to the salaries. and to make some maintenance costs. However, I feel like it is very important. Um, is a very much needed development for the Nigerian Debt Management Organization, the federal government, the budget office, the Ministry of Finance, to ensure that yes, you are borrowing, but you're able to account for those borrowings. We've seen borrowing since 2020, since 2015, but you can't see what tangible project was attached to such borrowings. You can't say, oh, this land or this road or this bridge was what was attached to that borrowing. And if the bridge or the road was constructed, how has it been able to contribute to the economy of the country? How has it been able to bring some return on investment that will now aid in the debt servicing for the country?
How concerned should Nigerians be about the rising cost of debt servicing, particularly when debt service is competing with this with spending on, health, education, and also infrastructure and other critical sectors? How worried should they be?
So I think Nigerians should be worried because in as much as the Nigerian government keeps saying, oh, our debt to GDP ratio is low, for a country like us, we shouldn't be looking at debt to GDP, we should be looking at debt to revenue ratio, and our debt to revenue ratio is quite a lot, and it is a huge burden for us as Nigerians. And I'm sure everybody is thinking, oh, it's not my cup of tea because they're not going to come and ask me to pay 50,000 or 100,000 to pay their debt servicing. But how do we pay as Nigerians? We pay in our healthcare. Any money that has not been invested in healthcare, any money that has not been able to be invested in education, social infrastructure, agriculture, wash, it has been diverted either to service debt, either to pay salaries because they have service debt and they don't have enough money, or it has been siphoned in a corrupt way, right? So yes, we may not be feeling the pinch with our pockets when we pay the money directly, but we're feeling the pinch when we cannot access proper healthcare, when we cannot go to a healthcare facility and you see all of the amenities that are needed in that facility. When you go to a school and the school does not provide you with all of the basic needs that a school should have, or when you're not able to access education, when you're not able to pay your medical bills, or when you are constantly paying out of pocket for medical bills. These are things that, yes, your taxes, your money that has been generated by the government should be able to cover to a certain extent. So when all of this is failing, when all of this is falling apart, it simply means you are paying the cost of debt.
So government often argues that increased spending is necessary to stimulate economic growth. So how do we distinguish between productive government spending and expenditure, that simply increases the size of government without having to create any economic value?
Some sort of economic value, and especially what with the trajectory that we are on, it's necessary that you want a productive spending that improves health and education outcomes. So how is your spending on education improving literacy rate? How is it improving enrollment rate? How is it reducing out of school children? How is it ensuring that transition rates are much higher, whether it's from primary to secondary, from junior secondary to senior secondary to tertiary? How are you ensuring that in the future you are creating more public assets that gives the country more form of reserves that we are able to have? How are we ensuring that we are counting?
Do we still have you, Damilola? All right, we'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll see if we still have Damilola connected with us. Just stay with us.
Pleasure of welcoming great supporters and friends from Inma. He's the president, and then of course L. Wilkinson, and then Dorin is heading the work in Africa.
honored that you're hosting us today. We look forward to a positive exchange of ideas and strategies to make our industry better. With me is Al Wilkinson. He's President and Executive Director of International Media Association, all the way from Ghana.
In Africa.
Honored that you're hosting us today. We look forward to a positive exchange of ideas and strategies to make our industry better. With me is Al Wilkinson. He's President and Executive Director of International Media Association, all the way from Ghana. And we're happy to have him here. I'll let him tell you guys more about him and why he's here.
I would leave you with the idea about Business Day. No platform can take it. No AI can replicate it. No competitor can buy it. So here's a little advice. Defend it. Build it. Invest in it. Because folks, the decade ahead is going to belong to huge organizations that are unmistakably themselves. They're not boring. They're not neutral. Who are you? Answer that question and you'll figure out the next one. Thanks a lot.
Admirer of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of BusinessDay. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with BusinessDay.
BusinessDay is West Africa's leading provider of business intelligence and information, delivering premium content across diversified media platforms, including online, mobile, and print. Since its inception in 2001 with a weekly newspaper production, BusinessDay has expanded its reach to provide exclusive content accessible through print, mobile, and online channels. At BusinessDay, our mission is clear: to be the foremost provider of business and financial content, empowering readers to make informed decisions in Nigeria and Africa. Since our establishment, we have been committed to delivering insightful, relevant, and accurate information about Nigeria's business and finance environment, while contextualizing the impact of global events. We monitor the stock market, analyze the companies driving it, and report on government policies and their economic implications. From decoding market trends to dissecting economic shifts, we offer actionable investment ideas and serve as a compass for decision-makers navigating complexity. Beyond headlines, BusinessDay fosters discussions on critical economic issues through impactful conferences and events. These platforms bring industry leaders together to share narratives that drive innovation and spark meaningful dialogues. Our events galvanize connections, bridging the gap between inspiration and achievement. For businesses seeking visibility, our strong digital presence offers unparalleled opportunities, with millions of followers across social media and a dynamic website attracting visitors from within and outside Nigeria. Business Day is the ideal platform to boost visibility for your products and services. If you're looking for in-depth analysis and expert opinions on Nigeria and Africa's business landscape, Business Day is your guide.
For 25 years, Business Day has delivered credible journalism, intelligent analysis, and decision-shaping insights to Nigeria and Africa's business community. Introducing Africa's first AI-integrated website, enhanced with powerful new capabilities. At the heart of the new platform is the AI-enabled chatbot, built to help you navigate stories faster, ask questions, get summaries, and access deeper context instantly. Text-to-speech functionality, allowing you to listen to articles on the go.
The Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Lagos, has recorded an 11.8% growth in air traffic.
Whether you're commuting, driving, or multitasking, Business Day now moves with you. And with our new language translation feature, our journalism becomes even more accessible. You can select your preferred language, thereby expanding reach across diverse audiences in Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. This innovation reinforces our commitment to being not just a news platform, but also a smart, accessible, and future-ready business intelligence hub. As we celebrate 25 years of impact, we step confidently into the future, powered by technology, driven by credibility, and focused on you. Visit the new Business Day website today and experience the future of news.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by Business Day Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insight into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Moses.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that Business Day television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by Business Day Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insight into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Moses.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that Business Day television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by Business Day Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insight into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Moses.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that Business Day television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by Business Day Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insights into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Moses.
When you think of business, think no more, think BusinessDay.
I know that Business Day television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
This is Business Week.
This is still the Business Day here from the 14th annual edition, and I've got a very lovely woman by my side this afternoon. Can you introduce yourself to us?
Absolutely. I'm Aderemi Saka. I'm the MD CEO of NASCON Allied Industries PLC, also known as Dangote Salt.
Fantastic. I'm going to start by asking you a simple question, really. NASCON Allied Industries relies almost entirely on imports, for its core raw materials, bringing in roughly $22 million to $24 million worth of goods annually. Now, tell me, how has this crisis in the Middle East, which has virtually halted, shipping fundamentally, has it shifted your organization's long-term approach to maritime risk management?
For us, it hasn't really impacted in terms of our imports, but the cost of importation has gone up. Our freight charges used to run between $21 and $25, and now we're seeing freight anywhere from $31 to $40. So that definitely has a significant impact on our cost. But what we are doing as a business is to also look at ways in which we can trim down on other costs. And so we've really looked at cost-saving initiatives across the board to be able to cushion that weight, because you definitely don't want to pass that on to your consumers.
Right. So we see many manufacturers they are increasingly turning to backward integration to reduce their dependence on imported raw materials. So how has this strategy helped your company?
In terms of backward integration of salt, that is very difficult because based on research, salt is you're not able to cultivate and to manufacture salt at the large scale within the country. But we're looking at all our other resources to see how we can really rely on local manufacturers. That is across the board in terms of our packaging material, in terms of other additives that we have to not just our salt, but also our seasoning. We're definitely relying more on local manufacturers to support those endeavors.
Now, you talked about something right there on the stage. You mentioned that energy costs amounts to up to 40% of your total input costs. So tell us more about that. Just break it down for us.
So that is an average across the nation, across manufacturing companies. You're seeing 30 to 40% of your costs are from energy costs. So what we have done as a business is, we try to ensure that all of our plants, they're running in the most efficient manner. We have a mix of both AGO generators and gas power generators. And so that is able to mitigate some of that cost. And then again, but the major thing I would say is efficiency, ensuring that you're producing in an efficient manner and you're optimizing your capacity so that way your variable costs are significantly less per product.
Fantastic. I think we'll just leave it there today because we know you have to run and we have to wrap up. But thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you very much.
This is still the Business Day CEO Forum, the 14th annual edition, and I'm still speaking to our CEOs, business leaders right here at the booth. I'm speaking right now with the CEO of the African Medical Center of Excellence, Abuja, Mr. Brian Diva. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to start by asking you what are some of the takeaways you've gotten from this event. I mean, it's been about 6 hours now of different sessions. I believe that you would have some things you're taking back home. So what are some of those things you might want to share with our audience?
Well, obviously being in healthcare, that's going to be an area that I'll take particular interest in and gravitate to. I really enjoyed hearing the comments from Aga Khan and some of the things that they're doing, the progress that they've made, the technology that they have implemented. When we opened the African Medical Center of Excellence, we were fortunate to have attracted some of the staff from Aga Khan. And so they're very accomplished, very skilled, and we're very grateful to have them. So a number of points that were made in his presentation, particularly around medical tourism and some of the things that we can do to not only reduce it, but to reverse it, the outbound medical tourism. Additionally, and of course, I think the highlight of the day, the comments made by the governor of the central bank and the incredible things that have been done there to shore up Nigeria's economic situation and to stabilize the currency and ultimately build confidence around the globe in what's happening in Nigeria.
Right. Let's talk about healthcare. AMC has happened to, treat more than 5,000 patients across 20 African countries. What does this tell you about the gap that we have in healthcare in Africa?
Yeah, and let me just clarify, while the commissioning occurred a little over a year ago, we've only had our full license for about 7 months. And so the bulk of those 5,000 patients have come in about a little over half a year. I think what that points to is the fact that there is a pent-up need and a recognition of the need for specialized care that has not been able to be found either in Nigeria or even in West Africa in some cases. Before the AMCE was developed, a study was commissioned to determine what the gaps were. And that's really what guided us in determining what we would be doing at the AMCE. And so we have been fortunate for the last 3 years, while the hospital was being built, to go out and meet with the administrative teams of both government and private hospitals and develop good working relationships of trust with them to encourage collaboration. And so we have been fortunate that those referring hospitals have had confidence in us to send patients to us. And again, that acknowledges that we are in fact addressing some of the gaps that were there.
Right. Now, let's talk about the theme for this year's event, which is from stability to shared prosperity. When you think of stability to shared prosperity, right, for Africa, what does that mean for you? I mean, not just from an African perspective, but also from a Western perspective looking in. What would you say is shared prosperity?
Right. Well, I think taking the comments from the governor of the central bank, his is a perfect example of the theme of the forum, and that is stabilizing the economy, stabilizing the currency, and we can see that that has significantly slowed down the growth of prices on everyday items, food, fuel, and that sort of thing. Now, there have been some other inputs to go into that. Our good friend Dangote has opened a large refinery with the help of Afrexim Bank,
Yes.
and that too has lowered or stopped the rise of fuel prices. But once the stability occurs, then we'll to more confidently grow small businesses and medium-sized businesses, which increases employment and makes opportunities available for more Nigerians. And that's really what this is about. We need to lower unemployment. We need to provide more jobs and more opportunities to grow those small businesses.
Now, my final question for you will be navigating the economic climate, right? You heard from the governor of the central bank. He has talked about a lot of indicators that shows that our economy has stabilized. I don't know if you agree with that, but has it been navigating the economic climate as a CEO?
Yeah, so first off, I completely agree with the comments that he's made today and with the achievements that he's had. I've watched it. So I came when President Buhari was still in office. I saw the exchange rate go from, well, the official rate of 460 naira per dollar to about 1,800 naira per dollar. So I've seen what the governor was attempting to tackle. And as the various initiatives were put in place, many of them were painful. And I watched the pain occur across the country, but they were absolutely necessary. And so when he talks about when the hard things need to be done, you can't be a nice guy.
Yes.
I understand what he means. I think you could still be a nice guy and do the hard stuff, but I as a CEO, obviously we had to put mechanisms in place to monitor our own prices. So, as we perform very specialized cases in the hospital, whether it's heart surgery, replacement of heart valves, chemotherapy, the drugs are extremely expensive. We've had to keep a close eye on those costs so that we can keep the costs down for the patient. We've been able to do that. Part of that is in the selection of our suppliers, truly partnering with them as opposed to more of just a loose marketplace. And then the other thing too is monthly evaluating our prices to see how they need to be adjusted up or down to reflect the exchange rates. So all of that, it affects everybody. And what we're hoping is now that the currency is stabilized, that we'll be able to attract more manufacturers back to Nigeria, particularly in the healthcare space.
My final question will be, if you were to come back here in 2027, what would you hope has changed in Nigeria?
Wow. That's a great question. I'm so focused on what we are trying to accomplish at the African Medical Center of Excellence. There's a lot that's going to happen there in the next 12 months. But I think the things that we accomplish there are somewhat of a microcosm of the larger environment. So we expect to begin expansion of the hospital from 170 beds to 500 beds. We will have really all of our specialty areas functioning. We have what's called a cyclotron there on our campus, which produces nuclear material for diagnostic and treatment. And the cyclotron we put in has enough energy to not only supply us, but 4 or 5 other hospitals I'd love to see 4 or 5 other hospitals with PET scanners who can use the isotopes that we're creating. I'd love to see the naira strengthen against the dollar. I think that President Trump is trying to assist with that. He's lowering or devaluing the dollar in an attempt to encourage exports. And so would love to see the naira strengthen against the dollar and improve the purchasing power of Nigerians. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mr. Brian Diva. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Oh, my pleasure. Anytime.
And we are back. Before we took a short break, we were talking about Gerigu's bond default, what it means for the power sector, what it means for the capital market, and then, of course, what it means for the entire economy. Now we're going to pivot quickly to our second topic for the day, and it's, of course, we are reviving plans to list the state oil company NNPCL. I know that idea was first mooted in November 2016, in a policy draft document. Before a law in 2021, after the passing of the PIA, then mandated that listing. Now it's back on the table. I mean, we've seen images, we've seen videos as well. The NGX team visited the president, and the president spoke about how he would want that to happen. And Timmy Popola, the chairman of NGX, was also delighted. He believes that that listing would allow Nigerians have a piece of one of the country's largest assets, and of course would also engender transparency. Deepo, what are your thoughts?
Yes, so for the first time we're having a conversation at the presidential level about IPO listing. The previous time, though, we've noticed it's either the minister making a public statement or the
GMG version of Business Week. We went through a couple of issues. We started off with Gerigu's bond default, what it means for the power sector and the economy. Then we went quickly to the proposed NNPC's listing, a plan first mooted 10 years ago that has resurfaced again, this time with presidential backing, as it seems. And then we ended up by talking about what's happening across various African economies. We reviewed the markets for the month of July. We think that inflation for Nigeria, which is due to be released this week or early next week, would show a second consecutive month of decline, which might pave the way for the CBN to start to cut rates at some point. And so we close it there. And I would also want to say that you still don't have to wait till next Monday to hear from us again or to read some of our exciting insights. You could do well to visit our website at www.businessday.ng. Thank you until we come your way again next week. Bye-bye.
Always talking about it. So this is the first time that we're having this conversation by the president himself.
Yeah.
Right.
He never mentioned it.
Right. No, he never mentioned it. So why this is different is we always know that the president prioritized the oil and gas sector. Immediately he came into power, one of the first things he did was subsidy removal. A lot of IOC deals that have been struggling to get their divestments approvals, the president saw to it and it was done immediately. So a lot of the markets believed is currently banking on the fact that the NNPC IPO would happen under Tinubu's administration. Maybe not this first 4 years, but if he ends up winning a re-election by 2027, definitely the NNPC IPO would happen. Now, what's the implication for that for Nigeria and then for the economy, as the case may be? So let's not forget where we are coming from. Currently, the oil and gas is not contributing. Yes, the biggest earner of FX, but then when you look at contributions to GDP, it's still slow, single digits. Now, if NNPC decides to invest in the IPO, we are looking at their total asset is currently estimated at about $150 billion, right? If they are listing, maybe it's 10% or 20% of that on the NGX markets, definitely is big. That's one. The second thing is it brings a lot of transparency and scrutiny to the books of NNPC, as the case may be as well. So last week we were here to talk about the Seplat deal, of how a deal happened, and it took Seplat announcing before the whole world ended up knowing that look, NNPC had sold certain stakes, or Seplat had sold certain stakes in some of the assets to NNPC. So what that would do is NNPC books will be more transparent. right? There'll be a clear audit of what actually is Nigeria's total oil producing assets. So what are the assets that are currently operating, that are working at full capacity? What are the ones that are struggling? What are the idle assets that we are struggling to get investors? And beyond just identifying these assets is to know who is actually in possession of these assets. One of the opaqueness of NNPC currently is the fact that a lot of Nigerians' oil assets, we don't know the companies behind them. Right? It's just for the very few ones, maybe the ones like the like of Seplat, the Tony Elumelu, the First TMP, but that's like 20 or 30% of the total assets. There are a lot of assets that belongs to companies that's we classified as briefcase companies with no precedents, no antecedents. So all of that will be public. Everybody can see. Everybody can see what your gas production is. Everybody can see what your oil production, who is producing what, and what assets is the most prolific of all of Nigeria's assets. And then, of course, definitely in terms of money, makes the company more accessible for investors. Once investors are keen into the books as well, especially institutional investors, then a lot of scrutiny will be made on their decisions, right? Why are you investing in these assets? Why are you prioritizing these assets? Why are you selling these assets? And so it brings more efficiency and more transparency to the books, add more value of oil and gas to the economy, and then have the energy sector play a bigger role in terms of contribution to GDP. And so if you look at that IPO listing that we plan, we hope it will happen. The Dangote refinery as well that is planning to list, that is planning to get about $5 billion from the market as well. Add that together, and I think the energy sector will definitely be one of the best.
Absolutely. And, if you look at it, I think from NNPC's last financial results, they had total assets of 246 trillion. If you list 10% of that, that's 24 trillion. That would easily surpass the current largest company by market cap on the NGX, the Airtel. Airtel is around 23.9 trillion. So that would be a really big listing. And like you rightly said, then you now bring on the Dangote IPO as well. Wow. That would be really good. I think that investors have every reason to look forward to exciting times in the stock market.
But there's something, do you think investors would want to
want to hold a piece of NNPC?
I remember we had a discussion a few months ago when NNPC was meant to list this year before they push it 2028, and we're like, between that and NNPC, who
will we go for? So you're saying that it might be bad timing for NNPC if it's happening close to when
they push it 2020. Why do they now push it 2028? Didn't we talk about when a lot of companies will just want to wait and see how much capital Dangote refinery will bring in, because they are being careful, because if they go into the market, they might not raise enough capital because all their attention would be is on Dangote refinery.
Yeah, but what I've also heard is that some companies are also very well aware that the demand for Dangote's IPO would most likely outstrip the supply. So at the conclusion of that IPO, there'll still be some investors with spare cash, people who they might buy on the next day, or they keep trading if they find people willing to sell. But there's also that argument that perhaps now that the market is up 56% year to date alone this year. Now that the market is really boisterous, there's a lot of demand activity. This is the best time to raise capital in a liquid market. So even if Dangote IPO is coming on stream, I don't think it means that no other person can afford to. I know that it could create some sort of competition, because if the timing is almost at the same period, then of course. But there are a couple of companies that also believe that the Dangote IPO would not stifle their own listing. If anything, it would even help them find better market pricing.
It's actually good.
For me, it's about the numbers, really. If the numbers are attractive enough.
NNPC, she asked a very vital question. Is there anybody
we haven't seen NNPC? They're also encouraging Nigeria, I think, not the gas, NLNG too.
If NLNG does list, I think there's no question about whether investors will be willing to snap up those shares, because that is a very well-run company.
Exactly.
People will definitely go for that. But NNPC,
so NNPC,
even after subsidy is gone.
First of all, subsidy is gone.
Yeah.
First major development. Second major development is the kind of people running NNPC now are different from the previous administration. Now we have Ibayo Ojulari, ex-Shell, we have Musakida, ex-Total Energy, we have Adeswa, company secretary, ex-ExxonMobil. So again, it depends on who is selling. Both those kind of people have the pedigree that if they walk into the markets, they would. If someone, I mean, just to divert, if an Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is selling a company now, that name itself would open the doors. So it's the same for NNPC. You have the right kind of people who can market it now. And I think it shouldn't be a
It's actually good. I just hope they don't stop at just NNPC, because in the beginning of the discussion, you talked about how other people have advocated this of NNPC, the public assets. So I just hope it will encourage more public companies.
Table for many years. Well, we can see what has happened with other.
If it's the market now, would you buy
NNPC?
Yes.
I think the other. Well, that's let's leave that. Let's leave that. Let me keep that answer to myself. Doesn't mean it's not a good company. It might mean that I have other priorities.
Exactly.
So I think it is. No. I think it is now. I just remember something. I think it's just now for NNPC to just, if they can, do like a road show. I mean, you've talked about how
of course that would be education. Of course. NNPC has changed.
Because it's not just by you have new people on board, but showing us that this is what will happen if you list, this is how much the share, this is how much capital you're going to get, or the money you're going to make, or I might even be a millionaire.
Anyway, we feel like this is a right move. We shouldn't forget to say that. But it doesn't matter whether any one of us would invest or not. That aside, but this is the right move. We've seen what is possible when a country decides to list a state-owned oil company like Saudi Aramco and Saudi. That's the example that we're always talking about. One of the largest companies in the world today. So you have that. So NNPC, this is long overdue. And as you've said, it's also a very good way of raising capital. We still have huge budget deficits when we have a lot of assets just lying fallow that we're not doing enough to sweat those assets. So this is one of the ways that will be sweating the NNPC assets. So it's a good one. We've got less than 2 minutes left, and I think in the final 2 minutes we should take the opportunity to just talk about, or do a review, if you like, of what has happened across maybe the top 5 largest African economies in the month of July.
Okay.
In 2 minutes.
Okay. So
what indices will you be looking at?
Let's just look at PMI. Look at that also list. Because right now, I mean, when it comes to the government to finance, one of the ways we finance the budgets, we borrow a lot, right, just to finance the budget. So at least when you go to the stock exchange, if the government needs money or capital, they will be able to source funds from the capital market. So a lot of people have been encouraging this. So let's see what happens. I'm not so optimistic, but
I think we're moving in the right direction because this has been on the Purchasing Managers Index.
Okay, so in H1, business activity across the economy was around 50%. It expanded
across Africa.
But it was not up to what it was last year because of the Iran war, spiking inflation rates and all. But July, we're seeing something interesting. We see more African countries expanding, right? That is, they are seeing their PMI rising above 50 points. It's actually a good one because it tells me that the second half of the year might see more businesses, expanding, or activities in the private sector will actually increase. Because the last time we had more companies, around 5 of them, entering expansion was in March. That is like maybe when the Iran war started. So that was surprising for me. Another interesting thing I also paid attention was inflation. Ghana. I don't want to talk about South Africa because they are still seeing a rise in inflation. But Ghana they saw inflation drop for the first time in I think since March. Right, and usually because of harvest season and food inflations are down. But just Ghana seeing a decline in inflation rate, and Kenya, which saw a rise in inflation rate, but it rose slightly. It gives me that optimism that the rest of the months of the year, inflation prices would ease up compared to just the H1. And when that happens, it tells me that a lot of African central banks might start cutting rates, because what they've actually been doing has been holding rates. Many of them, in fact, I thought they were going to start increasing rates, but South Africa, they held. So right now, everybody is just saying that inflation drop easing. We see a lot of African countries.
But I think the reason why they're holding rates is because what is driving inflation now is the US-Iran war, right? And they don't see that as something that would
it's
last
not,
forever,
yeah,
right?
I don't
But
think
even though
so.
it looks every time, it looks like
Yeah,
we're
so
about to reach a ceasefire, take 10 steps backwards again.
So I guess what they're now trying to do is to find a way to not focus it much on what is happening with the Iran war, right? They're trying to see in-house how to bring down inflationary pressures. You know, I talked about how a lot of them had to cut down the tax on petrol imports. So that's one way they've been able to ease inflationary pressure. So by August, maybe a lot of them would continue to. No, I mean, July inflation is not yet out, I think, for Nigeria. I'm also looking, that will be out next week.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to drop. Is it this week or no? 15? It's on a Saturday. They only released on Monday, maybe weekend or so. So let's see what happens. But I'm seeing.
So ahead of that inflation report, what are you expecting for Nigeria for July? Yeah.
I think it might ease up a bit. It's dropped.
What would drive? Yeah. What would drive?
Petrol. I think petrol price.
It was the first. It was the first drop
since March.
In 3. Yeah.
So I think I'm expecting it to ease further because petrol price. How many times did we reduce petrol price in July? The exchange rate has also been stable too. Major drivers of the inflation. So it might drop. It might drop slightly. But I think currently we're at 15.6%. Yeah. So
That makes sense because I mean this will be music to the ears of a lot of small businesses that have to rely on bank credit because they will know that if inflation starts to maintain that downward trajectory, then it means that the CBN has scope to cut interest rates, and that's what many businesses have been complaining about: the high interest rates, So that's definitely something to look out for. So that's where we'll close for today. Viewers, thank you for joining us on this edition.
Four years after Nigeria replaced the old National Health Insurance Scheme with the National Health Insurance Authority, the country is seeing real movement in health insurance coverage. Enrollment has risen sharply, provider payments have increased, and the NHIA now has stronger regulatory powers under the 2022 Act. The authority's programs are also designed to cover people outside the formal workforce, including self-employed Nigerians and vulnerable groups. But there is a problem at the heart of this progress. For many Nigerians in the informal economy, insurance is still something they have to pay for directly, and when premiums rise, coverage can quickly become unaffordable. That raises a bigger question about reform. Can Nigeria expand health insurance without pricing the very people who need financial protection most out of the system? The NHIA Act made participation mandatory and created the Vulnerable Group Fund to support people who cannot afford premiums. But the real test is whether those provisions are translating into coverage on the ground. Well, this afternoon on Behind the Headlines, where we go beyond the headlines to discuss some of the stories written in the BusinessDay newspaper, I'm joined by assistant editor here at BusinessDay, assistant editor for the company's economy and market, Dr. Oluwatobi Ojabelu. He joins me behind the headlines today as we discuss this conversation and so much more. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Ojabelu.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's good to have you here today. I mean, it's been like a short break. There's been a short break and then we're back. So it's good to see you today. Let's talk about this headline finding, really. Okay. What prompted you, because you're the writer of this story,
of course,
what prompted you to conclude that the health insurance is expanding but the poor are still being left behind?
Thank you very much. So I look at the comparative analysis of NHIA's percentage they covered. So because it was established in 1999, launched in 2005. And I look at what has NHIA achieve. NHIS good, NHIA achieve. I noticed that less than 5% in 20 years. Then over 22 million. I was not asking myself, who are those people in that 22 million that NHIA said they have covered? And I realized that an average Nigeria, those people work in informal sector, who did not have formal sector support like the way we have in BusinessDay. So when I look at those people, what is happening to them? So I realized that over 63% of Nigerians are still poor. They cannot afford to pay the increment in the rate. So that is what led me So that, okay, although there's an expansion compared to former, but the bottom line has failed to reach the point.
Now, you wrote the story of the Kano tailor, which is quite revealing. How significant is the affordability problem for the traders, for the artisans, and all the self-employed Nigerians?
Technically, when you look at the cost of living now in Nigeria, it is more than double compared to where we are coming from in 2003, 2004. You get it is more than double now, basically because of the reform, the subsidy removal and the unification. So when we look at the increment from 22 to 38, and these people still face the transportation fare shock. These people just face the food shock automatically. So an increase, even a modest increase in price of such commodity have significant impact on their welfare. So a lot of them will just be, after all, there's orthodox medicine that I can use. Why will I be wasting my time? That is when they will remember that even I've not been to hospital in the last 7 months. So why am I paying 76% increase in the rate? So it's very significant to those people.
Right. And we also see that the NHIA Act created the Vulnerable Group Fund, which is specifically for the Nigerians who cannot afford premium. So what has happened to that mechanism in practice? Sincerely, when they say
they make provisions, you can make provisions, but the provision reach those people you made it for. So if they make provision truly, they are still in 22 million. Although they have a benchmark, according to Isiaq Salako, who is the Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, he said they are looking up to 2030 that they will be able to cover like 44 million people, but now they are halfway, 22 million. Well, out of the 22 million, how many informal are there? What is the number of the vulnerable that are there? So when you still look at the 22 million to Nigerian population, it's less than 10%.
But if the poorest Nigerians cannot afford contributory insurance, now should the government be putting substantially more public money behind subsidized coverage?
So can you repeat that question?
I mean, I said if the poorest Nigerians cannot afford contributory insurance, so should we be seeing the government putting substantially more public, more money behind the subsidized coverage?
Exactly. You see, according to multidimensional poverty index, poverty is not only measured by food again. It is food, health, and education. But unfortunately, out-of-pocket payment in this, considering this reform, is 71 to 76%. So people still over 71 to 76% of the health spending in Nigeria still come from out-of-pocket. And what are they going to benefit from the government? Can government give them food? No. The only thing they want, subsidize all these things for us. According to World Bank data, and according to World Bank data, an average there is a statistics to know those people that are poorest, people that cannot survive with that spend less than $2 per day. Someone that spends less than $2 per day, and you want the person to contribute for insurance, it's not possible. So what government should do more is to intensify by increasing their budget allocation to that sector, so that the poorest Nigeria will be able to benefit from this.
Right. Are we also seeing sort of like a problem with the quality of coverage?
Yes. You see, in terms of coverage, I will tell you, compared to NHIAs, where they are coming from, they have tried. But it's still not significant.
Okay.
If you look at what Isiaq said, he said by 2030, the coverage level will be 44 million. And presently, they are on 22 million. And which shows year-on-year increment of 35%, according to Kileshi Oyiri, the Director General of NHIA. Good statistical measure. Are we together? But the question, by 2030, are you assuming that the population of Nigeria will be constant? By 2030, Nigerian population growth rate is 2.1 million. So if you multiply 2.1%, If you multiply 2.1% to the current population of Nigeria, you have 5,040,000. So if you multiply 5,040,000 times 4, you will get something over 20 million. Meaning that by 2030, Nigeria will have added over 20 million to the population. And they are still targeting 44 million by 2030. Meaning that at the end of the day, considering the Nigerian population by 2030, the coverage level will reduce more than today. So meaning that they should not look at the numbers of enrollment, they should look at the percentage to the population. That will show the clarity of their coverage level. But compared to NHIs, they have tried.
Okay.
But it's not sufficient.
It's not sufficient.
Yeah.
But we also know that the law actually makes health insurance mandatory.
Exactly.
But the question now that many people want to know is how effective that mandate can be when the enforcement machinery at the state level, the local level remains weak. How do we work around that?
It is very simple. There's an act. So what they need to do, they should look at the payroll of companies.
Okay.
So through the payroll, PYE of company, they can see those people who are not enrolling their staffs and they penalize them. So when they check the PYE and payee, so from the payee they will know. So from that, government can ask, okay, if your payee is showing 100 stars, so and your record is showing you only register 20 people, what happens to the 80 people? You should be able to justify it. So they should be penalized for that.
Okay. Penalties must be in place. Now, we also see that out-of-pocket spending remains extremely high.
Extremely high.
I mean, you find that even when you have health insurance, you find yourself still paying out of pocket because when you go to the hospital, there are delays here, or if there's no delay, they tell you this is not covered and all of that. Would you say that should be the most important measure of whether this reform is actually working?
I would not say it should be the most, but it's a factor. It's a factor. You see, in terms of accessibility to health program, there is always categories. But on average, the least category should be able to take care, to be able to survive the lives of people. Even if the category the person falls is far below the amount the person is paying. Do you get it? This is where supplementary budget have to look into. Someone that is selling akara, where the total stock, everything she has is 13,000 naira. But fortunately, she still prioritizes her health and the health of her family. She now engage in what we call gift-ship. Have you ever heard gift-ship?
No.
That is group, individual, family, social health insurance program.
Okay.
So if you have family of two, you have gift-ship, you can do that, you can pay. Now, someone that is earning 30,000 naira doing to sell akara or 40,000 naira. Now, she prioritizes her health. She now struggles to save certain amount of money and enroll. Unfortunately, one of her son has heart attack. And the category she enrolled for is just to treat malaria, give them maybe paracetamol or some other small drink just to make them energetic. So as soon as that, you are not saying because she failed to fail for that category, you will not attend. You have lost one of the future of Nigeria. So that is where supplementary budget have to come. Such government should aid at that point. When the aid will record those data, there should be a data for those people who don't have the ability to pay more, but government take care of them even with the mega they are making.
But speaking about the government actually wants 44 million Nigerians enrolled by 2030.
By 2030.
Now,
by 2030.
2030, yes. No. So given where we are today, is that a realistic target?
That's why I said now.
Is it?
It is not realistic.
Okay.
You know, you just like you are doing a competition. You are doing a competition, a sleeping competition with a blind man. That is why I say they have tried in terms of coverage. They have tried in terms of coverage because NHIs has less than 5% coverage in 20 years. It's not that their own coverage too is significant.
So what should happen differently with the informal sector?
And what should happen differently in the informal sector? They need to get data and there should be more awareness. There should be more awareness. Mama put, why are you wasting your money going to this hospital? Fill this form, you will enjoy health free. Fill this form, let them come first. You know, it's not everybody that goes to the mall that buy from the mall.
You're right.
Do you get it? Some people go to the mall just to do window shopping. So let these people come first. Let's see the number of people that are outside. So when we see the number of people that are outside, let them come free. Give them, let them feel. So when they come, we see the number of people. Wow, this people outside. The government has this plan. You cannot plan for the number of people you don't know now. You cannot determine, you cannot project even government expenditure to subsidize health when you don't know the number of people that are outside. You have to drag them in. I give you them phone. Don't waste your money. You need fancy. It is free. Even there should be a mobile healthcare center. Although according to Kelechi, the Director General, so they said they'll be able to cover over 7,500 health care entities, which is a good one, but it's still not sufficient.
Right. So, I mean, you've said a number of things from the start up until now. Now, if you had to identify one major weakness of this NHIA reform today, what's that? I just need you to mention one.
Awareness to the informal sector.
Okay.
It's awareness. Create more awareness and let them see what they are going to benefit. Registering with them. Don't introduce they have to pay. They have not eaten. These people are struggling to eat. You are telling them they should come and pay. Don't tell them they will pay. Tell them they will enjoy it for free. You have to counsel them to change their mindset. They will tell you health is wealth. It is only when you have eaten you will know it is. Someone that has not eaten, even if you get to the hospital, they ask you to take paracetamol. Isn't it? I take paracetamol. Before they ask you to take paracetamol, they ask you, have you what? Have you eaten? There was a story the pastor told me. He said he was in a program preaching. All of a sudden, the man fell down. So other pastor now took that man to a particular a sectional part of the church. They started praying. He said when he preached after 1 hour, he did not see other pastors. Where are the people? So they are still praying. That man that fell, what happened? We got there. Wait, stop. You have been praying for 2 hours. Nothing has changed. I said, stop. Gentleman, have you eaten? He said, give him food. They give the man food. He's okay.
Can you? Wow, that's actually interesting, really, because sometimes it's, I mean, just like you've said, awareness. But 4 years into this act, I'm sure with everything you said, clearly, I was going to ask you if you described it as a reform, as a success or not. But let me hear your thoughts.
To me, it's partial. It's a partial success compared to where we are coming from. You have to recognize the good they've done. Don't just come here and critique it. Now, what have they done good so that they can improve on the good they are doing and identify the gaps? So one of the gaps is they should not be looking forward to be increasing the rate because of the informal and already in the system. And they should create more awareness and let the informal knows what they are going to benefit. Let's go to that market today. You have the NHI, they say what you mean. They don't understand. And these are the people that over 90% of Nigerian laborers work in that sector.
Right.
So what I'm not saying.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Oluwatobi Ojabelo, Assistant Editor here at Business Day. Thank you so much for joining us behind the headlines today. This is where we'll leave it behind the headlines. We hope you join us tomorrow. My name remains Elizabeth Musa. Stay safe.
Thank you.
This morning live right here on Business Day Television. My name is Elizabeth Musa. Financial inclusion is often measured by the number of people with bank accounts or access to digital payment, but access is only one part of the story. If financial institutions cannot properly identify customers, understand their economic activity, or use that information to make informed decisions, then access alone has its limit. And for a country with a large informal economy, the quality of that data could determine who gets credit, who gets priced out, and who remains invisible to the formal financial system. That's where data infrastructure becomes critical to the next phase of financial inclusion. Well, joining me to unpack this conversation this morning is Sadiq Edu, is the founder of Pika Insight. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Lizzie. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here this morning. So let me start with what I think many people want to know, really. We're generating more financial data than ever before. Why are we not seeing more of that data translating into financial access?
The truth is, we don't have a data shortage issue in Nigeria. We have a data to decision issue. And so while we are generating more data than ever, that data sits in silos. It's not structured, it's not connected. And therefore, we're not able to surface it up to corporates who can then understand it and take action against it. So that's actually the challenge that we're facing in Nigeria today.
Right. And when we talk about data infrastructure itself, what are the critical pieces that you say need to be in place for that to happen?
Yeah, thank you. I'd probably break it down into 4 areas. I think the first step is that we need to be able to capture the data. Once we're able to capture the data effectively and accurately, then we need to be able to connect it to each other. Otherwise, it's just data sitting in, like I said, silos. But actually, we want to be able to connect it to paint a bigger story, which is then the next step, the third step, which is to understand it. Once you have all that raw data coming into one place, you're then able to understand it. And then the most critical part is that from understanding, you're able to act against it. Because data is just data if it's not usable, right? But the second you make it intelligible is when that data becomes powerful.
And also, let's talk about the small business owner who has no formal financial statement, but has years of transaction history. What is it that you could tell what can that data tell a lender that a traditional credit score might miss?
So a credit score will focus on where you've borrowed before, and it might be able to tell you when you've repaid or not. Whereas transactional history is much more than that. Transactional history will be able to tell you how often are you earning, how much have you earned, is it seasonal? Yes, including some of the credit scoring things, which where are you buying your supplies from? Has the business changed over time? And therefore, being able to provide all that data and be able to capture more than just a traditional credit score is what gives you this historical evidence that it's not just about where they've been able to collect money and pay it back. It's actually about how are they actually operating, and is this a business that one can back because of the history of it and their ability to actually run a business than just be able to collect and pay back.
But I'm also curious to know, Sadiq, really, if the bigger problem is the bigger problem the fact that we don't have enough data, or that this data exists but it's sitting in different places and they're not connected? What's the problem?
So fragmentation is the bigger issue. So in the work that we do, we provide a mobile application to market women, and to the small traders you're talking about, small business owners, and they collect data, but their data sits in booklets, in pads that, to be honest with you, they just accumulate and sit at the back of the shop. But even the best data scientists cannot look at notepads and then be able to glean insight from it. So it's very important that you're able to bring that data into a system where it can be understood. So what we do is provide a mobile application that allows them to log their sales, their expenses, their bookkeeping, their inventory management. As they do that, they build a PICA score, which is somewhat like a credit score. And then from that, they're able to access financial services and even government benefits. And so you see, we've taken, yes, there is a score, which will include some credit elements. However, it's also more about the transactional history. Now, that data sitting in the back of a shop across many clusters, if you're sitting as a financial institution and you want to be able to distribute your financial services, you need to be able to reach, and you also need to be able to target in terms of like, where are the clusters? So by being able to connect not just your sales, your expenses, your inventory per shop, but you're now able to identify clusters that means, okay, this is a hotspot. You're then able to allow it to become more predictable for corporates, financial institutions that want to come in to the informal sector.
But I hear you, but I also need to ask, because if I can demonstrate consistent income and transactions digitally, should that not make it easy for me to access credit? What's still preventing that from happening at scale?
Yeah, so being able to demonstrate that you're digitally providing data is not enough.
Okay.
What is more important is that you're able to verify that. I'll give an example. The social security number in the US is a number that is tied to every single thing that one does as a citizen, right? And, people make jokes that the banking system in the US, when you use a card, you can just swipe and you don't even put a pin in sometimes. Now, people think, oh, that's weak security. It's not. On its own, yes, sure it is. But when you connect it to a wider system that speaks to each other, there are patterns, there are things that you can see across all the different agencies, all the different places that data sits, where that social security number is tied to.
Right.
That means you're able to tell a fuller story. And so you have what they call defense in depth, in the sense that like the risk is understood across a wider picture. So same here, being able to say that you're online and you're transacting, and what's to say that you're not putting in whatever number you want in. If I can't verify that against what the banks know about me, what the telco knows about me, what NIN knows about me, what CAC knows about me, then quite frankly, you're back to that issue of, yes, it's digital, but it's just a digital, what I would call silos of excellence. Do you understand?
Silos of excellence.
So every silo is working very well on its own, and it's excellent on its own, but it's still a silo. And it only becomes, like I said, useful and has real utility when you're able to connect it across all the silos.
When everything is fully integrated, so to speak. Now, for banks and other lenders, how much does that better data change the risk of lending to people who have traditionally been considered as too risky?
Yeah. So I think there is a misconception. Like banks are not, and lenders, and so it's not that they don't want risk.
Okay.
They won't understand it, so they can price more accurately, right?
I'll be sure about that.
Well, let's say, you always have bad actors, Lizzie. Like, I'm not saying that everybody is, doing this in a clean manner, but at least for the partners that we onboard, we make sure that they're, firstly, of course, trust is a huge part of all of this. If you're able to allow the bankers to see, or the lenders to see, that this is a individual that has, let me give you an example. There's a difference between honesty and transparency.
Okay.
Trust me, in marriage, I'm learning this.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
If my wife asks me, I will answer. I've been honest.
Yeah.
But it's very different. But she has to know to ask the right questions, right? So she has to ask the right questions for me to answer. Now, transparency is that I've offered the information before you've even asked. You know everything of what I'm doing. You don't need to ask questions per se, because everything is available to you already, right? And so where we're trying to actually get to is not from just honesty that, oh, if you're able to ask the business, oh, how much did you borrow? Where is your inventory? How much, how often do you restock? Yes, if you know to ask the right questions, all the right questions, you might get the full picture. But wouldn't it be easier if it was just transparent, where you can just go to one place and see everything you need to understand, and therefore you can price the risk appropriately, and therefore even as a lender be able to, there's a poverty premium that as a result these traders have to pay, and it's not that necessarily that the lenders and the corporates are wanting to take advantage or capitalize. It's that the only way for them to price in the risk, or to price in risk that they don't understand because there's no data, is to increase premiums, is to increase interest rates, it's to require higher collateral. These are the issues that we're facing in Nigeria.
There's something you said that I've never heard, which is poverty premium. That's quite interesting. But let's also talk about another side to this conversation, which I think is really important, which is privacy and trust. Really, how do we make more data available for these financial decisions without compromising on people's rights and their privacy?
Yeah. Yes, none of this can come at the compromise of trust and privacy. Like you cannot use people's data without their consent, right? And so I've been watching the reforms, I've been watching the direction of policy with this administration. And there are little things that are happening that previously they're being spoken about, that previously I'd never thought about. A good example is that CBN has required that all financial institutions host their financial data locally. Prior to that, I had no idea where my data was being hosted. And I don't think I even cared. But now that it's being spoken about, it's not that I now care where my data is being hosted. It's a signal of that this is an intentional step to build trust in the financial system. There's a lot of issues around consumer protection. There's a lot of issues around, like we've spoken about, malpractice or seeming malpractice, which may actually just be a result of no data being available. So what is very, very important is that the human rights of privacy and trust cannot be corroded or taken advantage of in any way. So it is then on the regulator, it is then on the corporates following the regulations to ensure that they fall within those lines. And ideally, those regulations should have taken into account what these things mean to the people, because government is there to serve the people. And so that's what I would say on that, is that privacy and trust cannot be compromised because we're trying to improve financial inclusion in our country.
Right. And speaking about some of the things that we've done in terms of making significant progress, we've seen that Nigeria has actually made significant progress in terms of digital payment and identity. What do you think is still missing in our infrastructure?
We made a lot of progress on transaction rails.
Okay.
We built a lot of transaction rails. So yes, you can see money moving in and out, but we don't have an intelligence layer on top of that. That's what we're talking about. What does it all come together to say about a business, about an individual? So this is where I think we need to move to, where all these different fintechs, banks, doing amazing work, by the way. How do you then bring it part of an interoperable system that allows us to have an intelligence layer that services not just private sector, but also the public sector, who are trying to distribute social services, who are trying to distribute benefits, who are trying to even understand the nation. When you're able to do that, you move from, you move from saying, oh, this is my digital identity. Put it this way, someone's economic activity can actually now become an asset that they can leverage to grow themselves, grow their business. And that's where we're trying to move to.
So who needs to take the lead here? Is it the government? Is it the fintechs? Is it the telecom companies? Or is it a shared responsibility for everyone?
Definitely the latter.
Okay.
The government has to provide let's say, the playground, the rules, the regulations, the boundaries as to
enabling environment.
Enabling environment, correct. But of course, the telcos have a role. Telcos have the biggest distribution in this country today, most places. So what I mean is that, like, most people have access to a phone if they don't have a phone themselves. And therefore, in a country where the mobile penetration and internet penetration is so high, the mobile phone becomes a very obvious way to distribute services. Banks have a role to play in that. What are the rights? Are you taking in that intelligence, and even the fintechs, and then building the right products and services? Are you pricing it the right way? Who else can we talk about? Even the consumer at the end of this all needs to also be willing to provide consent, which is back to the trust I was talking about. Right. There needs to be government pushing forward signals that this system can be trusted. We are intentional about it as a government. It's improved, but there's still a way to go, and I believe that they're making steps towards that. But then on the other side, the consumer then also has to then understand what is coming out of government, what is coming out, what are the things being offered to them, and then offer consent, because again, privacy and trust are huge. You need to understand, but they need to understand what it is they're consenting to.
I think this is a good place for us to just wrap up the conversation today. So if we get this data infrastructure right, really, what does that actually change for the Nigerian consumer, the small business that is not currently in place? What changes?
From a financial inclusion angle, I would say that financial inclusion is now not what is known about you on paper, but based on what you actually do. Because remember, a lot of the data is hidden. So a retailer that is doing very good business is doing very good business. It's just that people don't know about it. So it's not that they're a riskier business, it's just that they're not visible. Do you understand? They might be a very low risk business based on like the business they're actually doing, but unless somebody can understand it, as far as they're concerned, this is an invisible business, we know nothing, and therefore someone who is doing bad business versus good business will get priced the same, or get judged the same. Like I said earlier, we moved from a place where we are today, where people are just trying to get access to capital, cheaper loans, cheaper this, to your economic activity being an asset. An asset that, yes, as an individual business, as an individual person, I can leverage to access, better services. But what people fail to understand, the informal economy, which is where we work, is the largest group in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Not just from a business perspective. About 85% of our population is classified as informal sector. So you need to be able to reach those folks. Now, when you're able to reach those folks with targeted services that allow them to grow their businesses, and when we talk about consent and all these things, the other side of that, which is that folks also need to feel like if they were to pay taxes, it would go to the right places. You then move away from, a lot of the conversations we're having today to real economic prosperity, because the actual activity of the nation is what is driving our economy, rather than, oh, we've borrowed from here or we've done this. A lot of it comes down to, are you able to move from just borrowing and stuff to real productivity? And productivity comes from being able to borrow and pay for that borrowing based on the actual economic activity that your business is doing, and be able to afford it so that you can grow and prosper, and that lifts the entire nation up.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Sadiq Edu, founder of Pika Insight. Thank you very much for joining us on Business Money Live this morning.
Yeah.
This is where we wrap it up this morning. Up next is Social Listening. Do stay with us.
Nigeria, a land of boundless energy, driven by the pulse of over 200 million dreams. At the heart of this momentum stands a giant, Seplat Energy, an indigenous powerhouse accounting for a vital share of Nigeria's oil and gas output, propelled by the historic acquisition milestone with the acquisition of ExxonMobil's onshore and shallow water assets, significantly expanding its production capacity and marking its entry into offshore operations. We are the engine of prosperity, Nigeria's leading domestic gas supplier with a total gas production output of 2.7 billion cubic feet and the landmark Ano gas project delivering first gas. We have elevated our total processed gas output to 855 million standard cubic feet per day onshore. Indeed, we have brought domestic gas utilization to new heights, powering industries and securing energy for millions. But we are not just growing production, we're growing responsibly. By ending routine flares, we are decarbonizing our operations today to protect the Nigeria of tomorrow. Our reach is expanding. From offshore gas distribution to the growth of CNG for transport and industry, we are deepening our presence across the entire value chain. Our impact reaches the grassroots. Through innovative mini-grid projects, we are bringing clean, reliable energy to local communities, fueling economic empowerment where it's needed most. We are more than an energy company. We are a partner in progress, a leader in the energy transition, a giant rooted in Nigeria for Nigeria. Seplat Energy, leading Nigeria's energy transition, powering the future.
Every legacy has a beginning. Ours evolved, built on trust and carried forward as a second-generation family legacy. Bemio has grown into Nigeria's largest cash-in-transit provider, trusted where precision and reliability matter most. But we are more than movement. We deliver protection at every level, from professional guarding to journey management to concierge services. And through BEMU Polo, we reflect the identity, heritage, and standards we uphold. This is modern service. This is a legacy in motion. BEMU, your partner to safer living.
At Providus Bank, we're committed to your growth and success. You're never alone on the journey. Our personalized relationship banking is how we do things together. It's what sets us apart. We value every individual and partnership and treat them as such. We're committed to helping you grow and celebrating your success. This is your life story, your future, your forward. This is all about you. Let's move you forward. Providus Bank.
Looking for fast and reliable answers to your business and economic questions? Meet SIA, BusinessDay's Strategic Intelligence Assistant, Nigeria's first AI-powered news chatbot. Simply visit businessday.ng, click the SIA chat icon, and ask your question in plain language. Whether it's inflation, market trends, company insights, government policies, or personal finance, SIA delivers instant answers powered by BusinessDay's trusted journalism. Smarter insights, faster decisions. Visit businessday.ng today and discover the future of business intelligence with SIA.
For 25 years, BusinessDay has delivered credible journalism, intelligent analysis, and decision-shaping insights to Nigeria and Africa's business community. Introducing Africa's first AI-integrated website, enhanced with powerful new capabilities. At the heart of the new platform is the AI-enabled chatbot, built to help you navigate stories faster, ask questions, get summaries, and access deeper context instantly. Text-to-speech functionality, allowing you to listen to articles on the go.
The Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Lagos, has recorded an 11.8% growth in air traffic.
Whether you're commuting, driving, or multitasking, BusinessDay now moves with you. And with our new language translation feature, our journalism becomes even more accessible. You can select your preferred language, thereby expanding reach across diverse audiences in Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. This innovation reinforces our commitment to being not just a news platform, but also a smart, accessible, and future-ready business intelligence hub. As we celebrate 25 years of impact, we step confidently into the future, powered by technology, driven by credibility, and focused on you. Visit the new BusinessDay website today and experience the future of news.
Of course, welcome back. You know, if it's sparking conversation, then we're bringing it to your seats, of course. Welcome to the social listening segment, where we bring you stories, debates, and moments generating conversations across social media. I am Deborah Eze. Now, let's see what's making waves online. For the first conversation today, the Nigerian Law School has confirmed the death of a 23-year-old student, Faith Alayande, who fell from the rooftop of the Lagos campus hostel while undergoing an externship program in Lagos. The institution disclosed this in a statement signed by Secretary to the Council and Director of Administration, Aderonke O. Osho, on Monday. According to the statement, Alayande was a student of the Nigerian Law School Enugu campus who was temporarily accommodated at the Lagos campus hostel for the duration of her externship. The law school said the incident occurred at 4 a.m. on Friday, August 7th, 2026. Now let's see some of the reactions on social media. And the first reaction from Calamity, and it said, "Oh, well, this is sad to see. Trust, I have been at the brink of my life since the age of 10. But I kid you not when I say it's not worth it at all. Life goes on and nothing will stop because of you." Another reaction from Yai Turks, he said, "It's so sad. Whatever might have been the reason, it's never supposed to be a decision to consider, no matter the situation. Please try to confide in someone. I know it's not everyone that knows how to handle depression. If you have never been there, you won't understand, but never let suicide be the option." Another reaction from Ted, and he said, "This is sad and heart-wrenching. Suicide is never the answer. Suicide only transfers the pain to loved ones. Investigation needs to be carried out on her death. I hope her family, friends, and loved ones find ease on her death. For anyone thinking of suicide, please reach out for help." And finally, from Roman Evo, and he says, "Some people are really living a pain-filled life. The courageous ones to find a way to carry on, while the others just want to end it now." This is an heartbreaking headline story, and I have a little understanding of what law school can be like, how tedious it can be, how, it has to do with your whole mind, your brain, everything, your body. It has to do with everything for you to prepare yourself for that kind of career path, only to be met with this kind of, tragedy. And I agree with one of the reaction. I don't think any degree or career goal is enough to end one's life. And I think the question should be around the safety of the school building. If the rooftop and and other areas are restricted and not accessible, then I think the Lagos campus, that's the law school, should really look into their safety measures, because we cannot have to deal with something terrible like this happening because we don't have the right precaution in place. And I really hope that our family and friends and loved ones, would have the heart to bear this loss, because it is indeed a very heartbreaking loss. After having to go through studying law for 5 years, and I'm sure she's done with bar 1, bar 2, or how they do it, and then you're now having to go through your final phase of law school after your externship to be called to bar, and then for whatever reason you get to take your life. I don't think there's any reason why anyone should take their life. I stand that it is brave for one to actually, sit and okay, I can't take this anymore, and then they kill themselves. It is really brave, but that is not the last resort. What is more brave and more courageous is having to sit through the problem, sit through whatever it is that is getting you depressed, and just get through it. Or speak to somebody, speak to anybody. Just make sure you don't sit in your depression to the extent of having to take your life. Very sad story right there. Let's now move to the second conversation. On the second conversation, the Lagos state government has arrested 27 suspected hoodlums for allegedly vandalizing a newly constructed bridge linking Festac town to Alakija during a midnight enforcement operation. The Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, disclosed this in a statement, saying the arrest followed the discovery of what he described as a disturbing act of vandalism beneath the bridge. According to Wahab, investigations revealed that the suspects allegedly removed iron rods, steel reinforcement, cables, and other components critical to the bridge structural integrity. Let's take a look at the video.
This is, sir. You can see how terrible it is here, sir. They dug into under the bridge, the overhead bridge connecting inside Festac from Alakija. It's very terrible. Hello, sir. I want to call your attention to this. This is the bridge that was constructed all the way from Alakija to link inside Festac. These scavengers have started removing iron from the pillar that supports the bridge. You can see it, sir. This is what they have been doing. All the pillar holding the bridge, they have started removing the iron. They break the concrete and they started removing the iron. You can see, this is where we are now. See the way it was. This is the way it was. We are now.
This is indeed sad. I like to say Nigerians are the problem of Nigeria, whether or not we like it. But let's take a look at some of the reactions from netizens on social media. Now, the first reaction from Honora Peter, and he said, I fully support the government's action in arresting those allegedly responsible for vandalizing the new Festac Alakija Bridge. Public infrastructure is built with taxpayers' money for the benefit and safety of everyone, and destroying critical components of a bridge is both criminal and extremely dangerous. Another reaction from Mojeku Ikena, and he said, I've taken time to observe these scavengers, and I believe many of them may not be Nigerians. Regardless of their nationality, those destroying our public infrastructure should be identified and dealt with to the law. Another reaction from Yemisi Aria, and she said, why are people like this? They don't even care about people's life. All because they want to make money, putting citizens in a great danger. If the bridge collapses, everyone will say the government used fake materials. It's a shame. And finally, from Adetunji Abudu, and he said, the root cause of all this is poverty. Until we start lifting people out of poverty and creating real opportunities for them, we'll continue to witness this kind of destruction. Right? I don't think we have to use poverty to make excuses for wickedness, because this is we saw that video. If we can have the video play again, we saw that is utter wickedness. You know, it's one thing for the government to not listen to the need of the people and, you know, not get anything done, but it's another thing for them to listen and then use my money, your money, taxpayers' money to get, you know, a construction done, an important construction. If anyone has been to that Festac, you know, Alakita, you understand that that bridge is actually, you know, a very important construction that was actually, you know, made. And then you have scavengers, you have people, you know, recycle this material and then sell it, and tomorrow we'll now start saying, oh, the government actually used fake material. So this has nothing to do with poverty. This is sheer wickedness, because at the end of the day, it is not the government. To be honest, it's not the government who ended up creating this infrastructure for us that we use the road. It is you and I. It is you and I. And for me, the arrest is certainly in the right step. It is in the right direction. But the big question now is this: what will happen to them after the arrest? What will happen to them? At the end of the day, I'm sure they get, you know, some sort of pardon. Oh, don't do that again. Or they spend like few months in jail. And then what then happens? What then happens? You get to steal cables, you get to steal railings, street lights, even, and it's really sad because it is our money. It is our money. So I really don't agree with the netizen who actually said it's poverty. I still believe that, you know, some people are just naturally wicked. And the problem of Nigeria is you and I. We are all the problem. And especially the people that are making money from this operation, making money from being wicked to people. That's all I can say. Oh, please, let's move to the last story. For the final conversation today, Nollywood actress Tonto DK on Sunday unveiled a new spiritual movement, the New Wine Prophetic Tabernacle. The veteran Nollywood actress was filmed ministering passionately at a podium inside the church auditorium to a seated congregation. The footage captured across multiple camera angles, showing visibly emotional moments throughout, with audience members raising hands in worship and tearfully embraces, filling the space. And speaking during the service, Tonto reflected on the long road that brought her to this point, crediting loved ones who had spent years praying for her during a time away from faith. There's a video. Let's take a look at the video.
In Jesus' name. I was sitting in the wall. I have some people who use 10 years to keep praying for me. Over 7 years now. She kept telling me something. God will use you mightily. And I kept looking at her and I looked at God. I said, gangster like me. It's not gonna happen. I said all of this to say this. That if you're truly and you're rock with God, God will never leave you alone. God will set strong men and strong women.
Face another chapter that she has entered in her life. But let's take a look at how netizens are reacting to this. The first one from Fred Rock, and he said, nobody is in a place to judge whether she's cold or not. Now, personal matters with God. For me, I prefer a new than a old. That's you judging anyways. We have Zion Basi, and it said there's nothing wrong with anyone, even an unbeliever, to embrace the gospel and allows herself to yield to the call of God and to the work of ministry. It is the one thing that spurs joy in heaven. I totally agree. And we have Ugoda, and it said, I don't think this is for money. When God called Paul, people said the same thing. We all know what later happened in the Bible, so God can use anyone. Another one from Meek FX, and it said, there is no one God can't use. Once God is interested in you, he can use anyone. But with social media, don't forget the past. She might be a changed person now, but who are you to judge her? Another reaction from Nana Kwame, and said, whatever you think about whether she's into scam or not, her spirit-filled messages would resonate with her members and others. At the end, she's helping build a moral society. We're still having this conversation during the newspaper review earlier about a pastor that scammed about 18 of his members. And it's really sad that, about 3 of the comments that we got from netizens, they're only concerned about the fact if this is scam or it's genuine. And it's really sad that this is what, Christianity has been turned into. But like I said, the netizen who said God can use anybody, of course he said he won't raise stones. If he can raise stones to DK for him not to use. That said, I'm really happy for this newfound faith, this newfound chapter. Those of us that actually followed Tonto DK through the years will understand why this is actually good for her. And I doubt this is for scam. If it's about money, we all know Tonto DK has the money. This is just, I believe this is actually God calling her. And if God did not even call her and she chose this path, it is good for her, whether you saw it coming or not. Anyway, that's a wrap on the conversation making waves across social media in Nigeria today. Thank you for watching the social listening segment, and thank you for staying with us on the Tuesday edition of the Business Morning Live. Until we come your way again tomorrow for the Wednesday edition, my name is Deborah Eze. Do have a beautiful morning.
I am, of course, a great admirer of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of BusinessDay. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with BusinessDay.
BusinessDay is West Africa's leading provider of business intelligence and information, delivering premium content across diversified media platforms, including online, mobile, and print. Since its inception in 2001 with a weekly newspaper production, BusinessDay has expanded its reach to provide exclusive content accessible through print, mobile, and online channels. At BusinessDay, our mission is clear: to be the foremost provider of business and financial content, empowering readers to make informed decisions in Nigeria and Africa. Since our establishment, we have been committed to delivering insightful, relevant, and accurate information, about Nigeria's business and finance environment while contextualizing the impact of global events. We monitor the stock market, analyze the companies driving it, and report on government policies and their economic implications. From decoding market trends to dissecting economic shifts, we offer actionable investment ideas and serve as a compass for decision makers navigating complexity. Beyond headlines, Business Day fosters discussions on critical economic issues through impactful conferences and events. These platforms bring industry leaders together to share narratives that drive innovation and spark meaningful dialogues. Our events galvanize connections, bridging the gap between inspiration and achievement. For businesses seeking visibility, our strong digital presence offers unparalleled opportunities, with millions of followers across social media and a dynamic website attracting visitors from within and outside Nigeria. Business Day is the ideal platform to boost visibility for your products and services. If you're looking for in-depth analysis and expert opinions on Nigeria and Africa's business landscape, Business Day is your guide.
Four years after Nigeria replaced the old National Health Insurance Scheme with the National Health Insurance Authority, the country is seeing real movement in health insurance coverage. Enrollment has risen sharply, provider payments have increased, and the NHIA now has stronger regulatory powers under the 2022 Act. The authority's programs are also designed to cover people outside the formal workforce, including self-employed Nigerians and vulnerable groups. But there is a problem at the heart of this progress. For many Nigerians in the informal economy, insurance is still something they have to pay for directly. And when premiums rise, coverage can quickly become unaffordable. That raises a bigger question about the reform. Can Nigeria expand health insurance without pricing the very people who need financial protection most out of the system? The NHIA Act made participation mandatory and created the Vulnerable Group Fund to support people who cannot afford premiums. But the real test is whether those provisions are translating into coverage on the ground. Well, this afternoon on Behind the Headlines, where we go beyond the headlines to discuss some of the stories written on the Business Day newspaper, I'm joined by assistant editor here at Business Day, assistant editor for the company's economy and market, Dr. Oluwatobi Oja Bello. He joins me behind the headlines today as we discuss this conversation and so much more. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Oja Bello.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's good to have you here today. I mean, it's been like a short break. There's been a short break and then we're back. So it's good to see you today. Let's talk about this headline finding, really.
Okay.
What prompted you, because you're the writer of this story,
of course,
what prompted you to conclude that the health insurance is expanding but the poor are still being left behind?
Thank you very much. So I look at the comparative analysis of NHIA's percentage they covered. So because it was established in 1999, launched in 2005. And I look at what has NHIA achieve. NHIS would NHIA achieve. I noticed that less than 5% in 20 years. Then over 22 million. I was not asking myself, who are those people in that 22 million that NHIA said they have covered? And I realized that an average Nigeria, those people work in informal sector, who did not have formal sector support like the way we have in Business Day. So when I look at those people, what is happening to them? So I realized that over 63% of Nigerians are still poor. They cannot afford to pay the increment in the rate. So that is what that led me to the although there's an expansion compared to former, but the bottom line has failed to reach the poor.
Now, you wrote the story of the Kano tailor, which is quite revealing. How significant is the affordability problem for the traders, for the artisans, and all the self-employed Nigerians?
Technically, when you look at the cost of living now in Nigeria, it is more than double compared to where we are coming from in 2003, 2004. You get it is more than double now, basically because of the reform, the subsidy removal, and the unification. So when we look at the increment from 22 to 38, and these people still face the transportation fare shock. These people just face the food shock automatically. So an increase, even a modest increase in price of such commodity have significant impact on their welfare. So a lot of them will just, after all, there's orthodox medicine that I can use. Why will I be wasting my time? That is when they will remember that even I've not been to hospital in the last 7 months. So why am I paying 76% increase in the rate? So it's very significant to those people.
Right. And we also see that the NHIA Act created the Vulnerable Group Fund, which is specifically for the Nigerians who cannot afford premium. So what has happened to that mechanism in practice?
Sincerely, when they say they make provisions, you can make provisions, but the provision reach those people you made it for. So if they make provision truly, they are still in 22 million. Although they have a benchmark, according to Isiaq Salako, who is the Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare. He said they are looking up to 2030 that they will be able to cover like 44 million people, but now they are halfway, 22 million. But out of the 22 million, how many informal are there? What is the number of the vulnerable that are there? So when you still look at the 22 million to the Nigerian population, it's less than 10%.
But if the poorest Nigerians cannot afford contributory insurance, now should the government be putting substantially more public money behind subsidized coverage?
So can you repeat that question?
I mean, I said if the poorest Nigerians cannot afford contributory insurance, so should we be seeing the government putting substantially more public, more money behind the subsidized coverage?
Exactly. You see, according to multidimensional poverty index, poverty is not only measured by food again. It is food, health, and education. But unfortunately, out-of-pocket payment in this, considering this reform, is 71 to 76%. So people still over 71 to 76% of the health spending in Nigeria still come from out-of-pocket. And the poor, what are the poor? What are they going to benefit from the government? Can government give them food? No. The only thing they want, subsidize all these things for us. According to World Bank data, and according to World Bank data, an average there is a statistics to know those people that are poorest. People that cannot survive with that spend less than $2 per day. Someone that spends less than $2 per day, and you want the person to contribute for insurance, it's not possible. So what government should do more is to intensify by increasing their budget allocation to that sector, so that the poorest Nigeria will be able to benefit from this.
Right. Are we also seeing sort of like a problem with the quality of coverage?
Yes. You see, in terms of coverage, I will tell you, compared to NHIAs where they are coming from, they have tried. But it's still not significant.
Okay.
If you look at what Isiaq said, he said by 2030, the coverage level will be 44 million. And presently, they are on 22 million. And which shows year-on-year increment of 35%, according to Kelechi Oyeri, the Director General of NHIA. Good statistical measure. Are we together? But the question, by 2030, are you assuming that the population of Nigeria will be constant? By 2030, Nigerian population growth rate is 2.1 million. So if you multiply 2.1%, if you multiply 2.1% to the current population of Nigeria, you have 5,040,000. So if you multiply 5 million, 40,000 times 4, you will get something over 20 million. Meaning that by 2030, Nigeria will have added over 20 million to the population. And they are still targeting 44 million by 2030. Meaning that at the end of the day, considering the Nigerian population by 2030, the coverage level will reduce, not that today. So meaning that they should not look at the numbers of enrollment, they should look at the percentage to the population. That will show the clarity of their coverage level. But compared to NHIs, they have tried.
Okay.
But it's not sufficient.
It's not sufficient.
Yeah.
But we also know that the law actually makes health insurance mandatory.
Exactly.
But the question now that many people want to know is how effective that mandate can be when the enforcement machinery at the state level, the local level remains weak. How do we work around that?
It is very simple. There's an act. So what they need to do, they should look at the payroll of companies.
Okay.
So through the payroll, PYE of company, they can see those people who are not enrolling their staffs and they penalize them. So when they check the PYE and payee, so from the payee they will know. So from that, government can ask, okay, if your payee is showing 100 stars, so and your record is showing you only register 20 people, what happens to the 80 people? You should be able to justify it. So they should be penalized for that.
Okay. Penalties must be in place. Now, we also see that out-of-pocket spending remains extremely high.
Extremely high.
I mean, you find that even when you have health insurance, you find yourself still paying out of pocket because when you go to the hospital, there are delays here, or if there's no delay, they tell you this is not covered and all of that. Would you say that that should be the most important measure of whether this reform is actually working?
I will not say it should be the most, but it's a factor. It's a factor. You see, in terms of accessibility to health program, there is always categories. But on average, the least category should be able to take care, to be able to survive the lives of people. Even if the person, the category the person falls is far below the amount the person is paying. Do you get it? This is where supplementary budget have to look into. Someone that is selling akara, where the total stock, everything she has is 13,000 naira. But unfortunately, she still prioritizes her health and the health of her family. She now engage in what we call gift-ship. Have you ever heard gift-ship?
No.
That is group, individual, family, social health insurance program.
Okay.
So if you have family of two, you have gift-ship, you can do that, you can pay. Now, someone that is earning 30,000 naira doing to sell akara or 40,000 naira. Now, she prioritizes her health. She now struggle to save certain amount of money and enroll. Unfortunately, one of her son has heart attack. And the category she enrolled for is just to treat malaria, give them maybe paracetamol or some other small drink just to make them energetic. So as soon as that, you are not saying because she failed to fail for that category, you will not attend. You have lost one of the future of Nigeria. So that is where supplementary budget have to come. Such government should aid at that point. When the aid will record those data, there should be a data for those people who don't have the ability to pay more, but government take care of them even with the mega they are making.
But speaking about the government actually wants 44 million Nigerians enrolled by 2030.
By 2030.
Now,
by 2030.
2030, yes. No. So given where we are today, is that a realistic target?
That's why I say it now.
Is it?
It is not realistic.
Okay.
You know, you just like we are doing a competition. We are doing a competition, a sleeping competition with a blind man. That is why I say they have tried in terms of coverage. They have tried in terms of coverage because NHIS has less than 5% coverage in 20 years. It's not that their own coverage too is significant.
So what should happen differently with the informal sector?
And what should happen differently in the informal sector? They need to get data and there should be more awareness. There should be more awareness. Mama put, why are you wasting your money going to this hospital? Fill this form, you will enjoy health free. Fill this form, let them come first. You know, it's not everybody that goes to mall that buy from the mall.
You're right.
Do you get it? Some people go to the mall just to do window shopping. So let these people come first. Let's see the number of people that are outside. So when we see the number of people that are outside, let them come free. Give them, let them feel. So when they come, we see the number of people, wow, these people are outside. The government has this plan. You cannot plan for the number of people you don't know now. You cannot determine, you cannot project even government expenditure to subsidize health when you don't know the number of people that are outside. You have to drag them in. I give them phone. Don't waste your money. You need fancy. It is free. Even there should be a mobile healthcare center. Although, according to Kelechi, the Director General, so they said they'll be able to cover over 7,500 health care entities, and which is a good one, but it's still not sufficient.
Right. So, I mean, you've said a number of things from the start up until now. Now, if you had to identify one major weakness of this NHIA reform today, what's that? I just need you to mention one.
Awareness to the informal sector.
Okay.
It's awareness. Create more awareness and let them see what they are going to benefit. Register with them. Don't introduce they have to pay. They have not eaten. These people are struggling to eat. You are telling them they should come and pay. Don't tell them they will pay. Tell them they will enjoy it for free. You have to counsel them to change their mindset. They will tell you health is wealth. It is only when you have eaten you will know it is. Someone that has not eaten, even if you get to the hospital, they ask you to take paracetamol. Isn't it? I take paracetamol. Before they ask you to take paracetamol, they ask you, have you what? Have you eaten? There was a story the pastor told me. He said he was in a program preaching. All of a sudden, the man fell down. So other pastor now took that man to a particular a sectional part of the church. They started praying. He said when he preached after 1 hour, he did not see other pastors. Where are the people? So they are still praying. That man that fell, what happened? We got there. Wait, stop. You have been praying for 2 hours. Nothing has changed. I said, stop. Gentlemen, have you eaten? He said, give him food. They give the man food. He's okay.
Can you? Wow, that's actually interesting, really, because sometimes it's, I mean, just like you've said, awareness. But 4 years into this act, I'm sure with everything you've said, clearly, I was going to ask you if you described it as a reform, as a success or not. But let me hear your thoughts.
To me, it's partial. It's a partial success compared to where we are coming from. You have to recognize the good they've done. They just come here and be critiquing. Now, what have they done good so that they can improve on the good they are doing and identify the gaps? So one of the gaps is they should not be looking forward to be increasing the rate because of the informal and already in the system. And they should create more awareness and let the informal knows what they are going to benefit. Let's go to that market today. You have the NHI, they say what you they don't understand. And these are the people that over 90% of Nigerian laborers work in that sector.
Right.
So what I'm not saying.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Oluwatobi Ojabelo, Assistant Editor here at Business Day. Thank you so much for joining us behind the headlines today. This is where we'll leave it behind the headlines. We hope you join us tomorrow. My name remains Elizabeth Musa. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Well, this is still the Business Day CEO Forum, the 14th edition, and it's still a very epic moment here at Eco Hotel and Suite, speaking with CEOs, key stakeholders, and business leaders. And now I'm speaking with the CEO of Aga Khan University Hospital, is Mr. Koram Jamal. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
I want to start by asking you about some of the key takeaways that you've gotten from this event. I mean, you've been here for a while now, and then you had a presentation. Talk to me about what you think about this year's theme, which is from stability to shared prosperity, and also some of the key takeaways that you might have gotten from some of the sessions which we had here.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Thank you for Business Day for inviting the Aga Khan University Hospital to participate in this very fruitful CEOs forum. A lot of interesting talks and topics have been talked about this today, including energy, finance, banking, issues and challenges that are facing the Nigerian business sector, and what the business community, the government, along with the private sector are planning to do to come together and take the agenda forward. So it has been very interesting. Ours was really to do with the healthcare sector, and what we as an Aga Khan University Hospital, which is a private not-for-profit teaching tertiary hospital, is planning to do in terms of trying to keep the African patients not going abroad outside of the continent, but they can acquire quality healthcare within Africa.
And then when you speak about quality healthcare within Nigeria, I think Africa is really important, because every year we see billions of dollars leaving Africa out of the African continent, for medical treatment abroad. And we see also that many of our best healthcare professionals, I'll speak also from the standpoint of being a Nigerian, many of our best healthcare professionals are leaving the country. And I know this also is happening in other African countries. How do we reverse this brain drain that is going on?
Yes, so I spoke about a few things. One is regularly building talent. That's number one. Number two is ensuring that we pay what is right to our physicians. Number three, what is also very important is if we do not provide the right practicing environment for physicians, then they have no other choice but to leave the countries where they're coming from. So for a cardiologist who has spent 12, 13, 14 years training to become a specialist, if he does not have the right environment in which to practice medicine, whether it's to do with outpatient consulting clinic work, or whether it's to do with the cath lab, diagnostic and interventional procedures, or whether it's to do with the recovery that takes place for these patients in the coronary care unit, if those facilities do not exist, then those cardiologists will simply not stay. So those are the challenges that we're currently facing, and that is what we as the private sector and as the government need to come together to ensure that we provide the right environment for our physicians to practice quality medicine.
Right. And I like when you said practicing quality medicine. That also brings me to the issue of trust, because trust happens to be a very recurring theme, especially in the healthcare sector. How do we get to the point where we begin to trust, the healthcare sector, to begin to trust, to make use of, healthcare within the continent?
Right. So another very important factor. Remember, the patients normally just see the physicians, but behind the physicians, you have other different clinical care providers, which includes nurses and allied health professionals. So they work cohesively as a team in providing that quality care to the patients. We at the Aga Khan University Hospital, we were the very first institution in sub-Saharan Africa to accredit ourselves with Joint Commission International. Now, this is an international gold standard quality accreditation for healthcare institutions, where you have more than 200 standards and over 1,200 measurable elements that you are regularly surveyed on, which assesses how good you are when it comes to delivery of quality care to patients. Besides this, we are also College of American Pathologists accredited laboratory. We also have 2 centers of excellence in stroke and heart attacks, which is a CCPC program from Joint Commission International, and the list goes on. So this is our way of showing to the patient that not only do we have the brightest minds in the institution, not only do we have the fantastic infrastructure and equipment, but we also have external quality accreditations with us that demonstrate our commitment to providing quality care.
Right. And you speak a lot about, collaboration within African healthcare. I know you had partnerships also with Kenyan Airways. What does it take to truly create a healthcare system which is, co-creating, collaborating? What does that look like?
So we have tried to, at least in our most recent partnership that we've now done with Kenya Airways, what that means is for the patients, that are here in Nigeria, they can have access to quick airline tickets. They can have access to subsidized and discounted airfares. They can even have access to preferred seating arrangement within the aircrafts. They will also have access to stretchers and oxygen cylinders. And once those patients actually land in Nairobi, then our team from the Nairobi side will ensure that the patients are properly picked up from the airport through an ambulance, brought to the hospital immediately, so that continuity of care continues. Those patients may also even come with their own relatives and loved ones. So we have made arrangements for those loved ones to stay nearby the hospital. So we've created possibilities for accommodation. And after the care is done and those patients return back to their home country in Nigeria, the care doesn't stop. Our physicians in Nairobi will continue to stay in touch with the primary physicians here in Nigeria through teleconsultations and virtual care, so that we ensure that the care does not stop. So that is a type of a collaboration, and this is just one example that I'm giving you, where how we're trying to make an impact or a positive impact in the lives of Nigerians.
My final question for you, because I know you have to run, will be what you see shared prosperity in healthcare looking like in the next 10 years.
So we need to come together. I think the integrated health systems is the way to go. Once we come together is when the shared prosperity really materializes. And I'll give you an example of the Alkan Health Services, which is working towards creating an integrated health solution between Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, all three of them being in East African nations, where all the 3 or 4 different hospitals that exist as part of the integrated health network and a network of nearly 100 medical centers come together, work together as a hub and spoke model, share the best practices, share technology, share cross-border and cross-functional trainings. These are the types of prosperity and shared practices that we're looking towards.
Right. Thank you very much for spending your time with us and stopping by at our booth today, Mr. Kurum. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.